Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063, The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, Bridgestone Arena. This is our final show of the season inside of Barrel House at Bridgestone Arena, where once again the Predators will take on the Utah Hockey Club tonight. They'll take on the Utah Hockey Club. This is our final show here because on Wednesday, before the finale against the Dallas Stars, we'll be live at the BetMGM Sports Lounge. So today is our final show from inside of Barrel House, which is kind of, I'm going to be honest with everybody out there. It's a little sad that this season has gone the way that it has gone. The chairman of the board, David Reed, is here today. Hello, David Reed. How are you?
Good afternoon, Jared. You got anything to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, we are wall to wall today, and that does include kind of the big story about Nico, which is what we'll start on, but also Levi McCatherine, who is the lawyer. If you did not see, allegedly, L'Jarius Sneed during the season, he and his assistant shot at an alleged victim at a car lot in Houston. It's a very odd story. We kind of found out about it as we were leaving for the weekend on Friday. The attorney representing the guy suing L'Jarius Sneed, Levi McCatherine, will join us at 4 o'clock today. So we will have a ton to say about that. But I do want to start on, again, the big story over the weekend. Tennessee said enough as far as the drama surrounding Nico Iamaleava is concerned. And what a wild of couple of days it has been on Rocky Top. And most people, if not all people, I guess except for Derek Mason on the midday show, have taken the side of Tennessee in the Nico Volunteers divorce. But here's what I don't get. Here's what I'm not okay with. The amount of people that it feels like are just letting Nico off the hook and dismissing his dishonest behavior because they think the bigger issue, or they think the issue they want to discuss, is the broken system of college athletics. Again, Nico Iamaleava went to, reportedly, I read it in The Athletic today, went to a dinner at the offensive coordinator's house on Thursday night with the other quarterbacks. And then on Friday, no-showed practice. And then on Saturday was entering the portal. And it's the system that's the problem. It's not the actions of a bad actor that are the problem. Let's start with the Nico element of this. Nico wanted more money, period. I don't think anybody is contending that, and it seems to be the number one driving force behind all of this. He's not the first player in the history of the world to want more money, but he is the first player to sign a massive NIL contract, and he's the first player to ever hold out ahead of the spring portal opening simply because he wanted a raise. And I think we can all agree Nico isn't good enough for that kind of behavior, which is probably what pissed most people off. Derek said if this were Travis Hunter who was doing it, and he is onto something with that. But how does Nico wanting a raise and quitting because he didn't get the raise, how does that equal a broken system that must change? College football is broken. Why is it the system's fault when everybody operates on the same system? And I don't think any of the other schools are having this problem right now. Is Garrett Nussmeier at LSU entering the spring portal because he didn't get a raise? Is Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt entering the portal? Is Arch Manning entering the portal? Again, those guys get paid too. They have to operate by the same system, the same broken system that I don't understand how we haven't had more issues like this in college football. But we've had one, Nico. That's it. Drew Aller's not entering the spring portal at Penn State. So somebody tell me why this is such a broken system issue and not a Nico issue. And I'm fine to discuss congressional regulation concerning paying college athletes, but that's not the story to me. I feel like there are so many people that cover college football that live and die by the day in, day out drama of NIL money and potential portal enterings and everything else, that they think this is some giant widespread problem, that this is a massive must be dealt with today or else issue. And yet, we played college football last fall. Guess what? Regardless of where Nico goes or doesn't go, we're going to play college football this fall. I'm not totally sure that equates a broken system as much as it equates a bad actor. The story is that Tennessee put all its eggs in someone's basket who has such little integrity that this guy tried to game the system and score a quick buck off the Vols, and instead it blew up in his face, and now he's probably done, at least for right now, as a major college quarterback because his reputation has been absolutely destroyed. But that's the story. This broken system is Tennessee put all their eggs in Nico's basket, and Nico has no integrity. That's it. The end. The end. Goodbye. Done. Nico is either dishonest, stupid, or both. But Tennessee put all their eggs in his basket. You know, I keep hearing about we need rules and we need collective bargaining and we need. Antonio Brown played in a league that has rules, that has a collective bargaining agreement, but that didn't stop him from going haywire and ruining the end of the Steelers season as last year he was there, the beginning of the Raiders season, that one training camp he was there, and then running off the field in New York without any clothes on in Tampa Bay. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's not about the rules. It's about Antonio Brown's bad behavior. That's why. There was no rule stopping Bobby Petrino when he left a laminated card on everybody's locker saying, sorry, we're still in the middle of the season, but I'm going back to college football. Y'all have fun. There's no rule. Whether it's the NCAA, the NFL, there's no rule that said Bobby Petrino could not leave the Falcons to go to Arkansas. Did we cry and cry about the broken system? Or did we all realize, this Bobby Petrino's kind of a turd? So if you want to have the broken system discussion and you want to be upset about the rules, we can do that. Because there are probably some issues in college football that if they got hammered out and if they became more streamlined, would probably make everybody's lives easier. It would probably make the coaches' lives easier because they could go to bed tomorrow night and not have to worry about everybody just jumping in the portal. It would probably make the student athletes' lives better because they would be getting direct payments from the schools that have the money that they can sue if they don't get it, instead of some donor who says, yeah, if you endorse my tire company, I'll pay you $1 million, play quarterback, son. So now you're more likely to get your money than you were before. And it's probably better for the fans because, again, you know who your quarterback's going to be. And you're not sitting here today at the end of spring football, Tennessee fan, wondering if, oh my God, are we going to be playing Georgia week 3 with Jake Merklinger at quarterback? But I don't think that's really the issue here. I mean, you want to blame this on the system, and you don't want to blame this on the fact that, again, Tennessee put all their chips in the basket of a dishonest, greedy, selfish quarterback. And when you invest in dishonest, greedy, selfish, this is usually what happens, regardless of what the system's rules are. What is Bobby Petrino? He's dishonest. He's selfish. What is Antonio Brown? He's crazy. And when you invest in crazy, and when you rely on crazy, and when you rely on dishonest, and when you rely on selfish, this is what you're going to get. So to me, that's what this is really all about. This isn't about some broken system of college athletics. We pay the players now. We didn't pay the players before. The minutia of the collective and direct payments and the attorney generals, and that's, again, all semantics. We used to not pay the players. Now we do pay the players, and not a lot's really changed other than the players can go place to place for more money, which is pretty much how everybody's job works, especially the ones that are not collectively bargained with a union. But when it comes to hiring employees, the real question is, A, are you capable to do the job? Because, again, Tennessee can pay me all the money they want in the world. I can't play quarterback for them. But two, it's, do you have the moral character? Are you grounded? Are you honest? Are you a leader? Are you smart enough? Do you have the mental makeup that you have to decide when you're hiring somebody? That's what all these team meetings and top 30 visits, and that's what all this is about leading into the draft. Are you Jamarcus Russell or are you Peyton Manning? I need to learn. That's the story for me. Tennessee put all their chips in Nico's basket. All the eggs right there. And in the end, Nico had no attachment to Tennessee. It was all about the money. He wanted more, and he didn't care about the team. He didn't care about his career. He didn't care about his teammates. He didn't care about being a Vol. He didn't care about any of that. That's the story. And when I hear people go crazy about the broken system of college athletics, I'm like, take your agenda somewhere else. I agree there needs to be some sort of reform. I don't think it's the end of the world. But again, is Ohio State having this problem today? Or does Ohio State know who their quarterback's going to be next year? Is Michigan having this problem? Is Alabama having this problem? Is Vanderbilt having this problem? Is USC having this problem? Or is it just Tennessee and it's just this one player? Seems to me like it's just UT and it's just this one player. Doesn't seem to me to be a systemic issue. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. And then there's a second thing when it comes to the whole broken system. This is a broken system. This is so terrible. College athletics. Is it really? I saw a headline at The Athletic about how the system's so bad. And then I looked at the byline and I saw by Joe Rexroad. And I was like, oh, of course. Pearl clutching if there ever was any. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, live from Bridgestone Arena, 102.5, 106 for the game.
era that we have had a literal holdout. Happens every day in the NFL. It's never happened in college football. He was expected to make about $2.5 million, and while people are seeing their 401s crash right now, he wanted more than that, reportedly as much as $4 million. And Tennessee finally said, you know what, we're done. What's interesting is he's not that great. I talked to various sources around the SEC yesterday, and I said, tell me where he ranks out of the 16 quarterbacks in the SEC. They said somewhere between 6 and 8. Tennessee saw the same thing, and that's why he is no longer on the Tennessee roster this morning.
Paul Feinbaum talking about the latest with Nico in Tennessee. We've already got Joe Rex Road mad, which does not surprise me whatsoever. Because, again, I saw a story at The Athletic. All of the college football writers, they're pearl clutching about this Nico story, saying, the system is broken. And I saw Joe wrote a story about it. I didn't read it. I saw Joe wrote a story, and on cue, I've got text messages from Joe saying, ask your Lord and Savior Saban if the system is fine. This is dumber than I imagined. Dishonest as you decide to make it about Nico when everyone who knows anything about the story knows it's about his dad. I'm sorry, how old is Nico? He's 20 years old. Who's getting paid the $2 million? Is it Nico or is it Nico's dad? Oh, it's Nico. Okay. If Nico murdered somebody, would he be charged as a juvenile or would he be charged as an adult? I used to not want to criticize college athletes. I used to be on the radio in Louisville, and I used to look at it like, hey, the players you got to be a little careful with. The coaches, have at it. They're making $5 million a year to coach college basketball. Let them have it. The players, they're 18, 19 years old, and they're technically not getting paid. Well, now the players are getting paid. So if you get paid, you're a big boy, and you need to handle your own business, regardless of who's advising you. I think that A.J. Brown got bad advice from Tory Dandy. I shouldn't say bad advice. I think A.J. Brown, if he wanted to be a Titan, was not getting the right advice from Tory Dandy, but he's a big boy. And John Robinson, I think, was getting worked by Tory Dandy too. But again, he's a big boy. We're not going to say, oh, well, it's A.J.'s dad's fault. It's A.J.'s eight. No. So enough with the Nico's dad stuff, which I'll get into, but Nico's a big boy here. So I want to go back to the broken system. Because, again, Joe's like, go ask Nick Saban if the system's broken. Just because there aren't a lot of rules in college athletics, in my opinion, does not mean that the system is broken. I think that's just overreactive pearl clutching. There still are some rules when it comes to the transfer portal and college football and college basketball and everything else. Like, what are the windows, when they open, when they close, so on and so forth. And everybody knows what the rules are. When I think of a broken system, I think about what's happened to the condos in Florida. I don't know if you're following the story. I read it in the New York Times about 6 months ago. Remember when that building collapsed in Florida and all those people died? They changed the laws in Florida that if a condo building is over 30 years old, you have to do an evaluation and make sure it's up to standard, up to code. And so all of these people that live in these condos are getting assessed massive amounts of money in order to get their older condos up to code. Well, they can't afford that. Well, most people, when they apply for a mortgage, they factor in, okay, I'm making this much money, especially people who are retired. They factor in, okay, I'm making this much money, so I can pay a $3,200 a month mortgage. And I can pay a $1,000 HOA, and there you go. But what they can't account for is, oh, by the way, everybody in the building's getting assessed an extra $340,000 because we have to make sure that the structure of the building is better than what it was 5 years ago, simply because those are the new laws that are passed. So these people cannot afford to live in their condos anymore, but they can't sell them because anybody who would buy them knows you're going to have to pay for the massive assessment. That's a broken system. Those people living in those condos, especially the ones on fixed incomes, they don't have a choice. They can't sell their place, and they can't pay the assessment in order to fix the building. That is a broken system. And the laws make sense We understand a massive condo building collapsed. The way that they're going to try to make sure this never happens again is to make a law that we have to but you see how that system is inherently broken. That is a broken system. Foster parents who look at children in the program as a way to get a bigger check from the government instead of helping raise a child. That's a broken system. And I can go on and on and on about these different broken systems. College football, that's not a broken system. We play the games every Saturday. We played them last fall. We're going to play them this fall. The players are now getting paid. It's still basically the same game. We pay to watch the games, or we pay to go to the games, or we pay to tailgate at the games, and every single person involved gets their cut, including me. Because when I host a show on Sirius XM on the Saturday of the Elite Eight or on the Saturday of the Michigan-Ohio State game, I'm not working for free. So everybody is getting their cut. The coaches get paid. The players get paid. The media that covers the sport gets paid. The TV companies get paid. And the fans are the ones that do the paying. How's the system broken? But see, what's happened is because the organization representing the colleges, the NCAA, drugged their feet and kicked and screamed all the way to the Supreme Court and lost, now all of a sudden there's really not a lot of rules they can put in place. Because their entire model, and again, I'm talking about the old model, did that Alabama receiver pay for that haircut? That model was illegal. And so every little nook and cranny of the NCAA is against the law, everything that they do, so they can't enforce anything anymore, except for, again, transfer windows and things of that magnitude. So the coaches don't like it. Dabo Swinney doesn't like it. Nick Saban doesn't like it. Those guys don't like it because they had more control. When you signed up to go play for Saban and you had to do everything Saban said, and if you didn't like it, you could leave, but you'd have to sit out a year. Or if you didn't like it, Saban could stop you from leaving. Well, of course, Nick Saban's not going to like the new way, which is, this guy's not happy, he can just leave. The same way Nick Saban left the Dolphins. It's not a broken system. That's just a coach not getting what they want. And then the media thinks it's broken because they interview the coaches or they listen to the press conferences, and all the coaches do is get up there and bitch about the system because they've lost control inside the system. So now everybody in the media is just parroting what the coaches are saying, even though in reality, it's still not a broken system. Everybody is still getting paid. You know, Sports Illustrated had their swimsuit edition come out. I saw Haley Van Lith's ass right there on the cover. You know what I didn't see? I didn't see her complaining about going to bed hungry. The way that Kimball Walker said he used to go to bed hungry when he was winning a national title at Connecticut in 2014 because they couldn't give him any more food. The system is not broken. It's just not perfect. And I'd like you to go to every system and tell me which system is perfect. Is the collective bargaining agreement in the National Football League a perfect system? If Jaden Daniels went on the open market, Jaden Daniels would be worth $60 to $70 million a season. Josh Allen's new contract with the Bills is essentially a 2-year extension at $100 million a year. So what's Jaden Daniels worth? But Jaden Daniels can't renegotiate that because that's been collectively bargained. Well, is that a perfect system? My guess is if you ask the Commanders, they'll say yes. That is a perfectly run system. If you ask Jaden Daniels, I bet he'd say, no, go ahead and give me the $70 million a season now after I prove myself for 1 year. The system is not broken. Stop saying that. Stop being over dramatic. The system is fine. Does it need tweaking? Yes. Every system needs tweaking. It drives me crazy when it's like, oh yeah, Nico decided to try to pull a fast one on UT, and now the whole system needs to be overhauled. Or did you hear this one coach who did things a certain way for 100 years and had all the power, now doesn't have all the power anymore, and now he doesn't like it? And I'm supposed to say, okay, yeah, nope, change everything. Ridiculous. And the media, I hate to say it, the media goes along with this. And that's, again, I think the most disappointing part as far as I'm concerned. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I do see your phone, so we'll get to those. Plus, Josh Pate, man, he fired one off today. We'll get to that. Again, a little another rumor, gossip, etc. in your phones. Stillman and Company, 1025, 106 for the game.
This is not even, guys, I cannot stress this enough, this is not even remotely close to the only instance. There are far more screwed up instances than this happening right now, probably with your own collective or your own general manager and your own program. You just don't know about it. This stuff was happening last December during the playoffs, with this kid included, but not just this kid. They were trying to get more money out of Tennessee, and other players on playoff teams were trying to get more money out of playoff teams before the playoff games. They were trying to leverage playoff participation because, do you know why? To participate in 12 games, maybe a 13th if you make the conference championship game, but you guys made the playoff. He should make more money. This is the kind of BS that's happening behind the scenes right now. There is no structure.
That was Josh Pate talking about, can you believe this rumor that I heard? That apparently there were players, including Nico, who threatened to hold out of the college football playoff because the system is so broken. They wanted to get paid for a 14th game, a 15th game, a 16th game. I mean, that's a great story. I heard the morning show play this, and they're like, oh, God, college football's so broken. There you go. That's a great story, except that there's no proof of this happening. I want people to understand this. Again, that was Josh Pate on CBS. Now, Reed, I don't know much about Josh Pate, but I think he's a pretty big college football podcaster.
Yeah, I'm a big Josh Pate fan, actually, but I think you got to come with a little bit more proof and some receipts if you're going to say something like that, especially in light of, I mean, it's easy to say something like that now when Nico's gone and this whole situation has transpired the way it did. Why were you saying that back in December if you really had that information then?
Bingo. So, I mean, like I'm hearing like, oh, all these kids, this system's so broken. Ohio State, it was the best team money could buy. All those guys got paid. Who didn't play in the playoffs? Will Howard played in the playoffs. Emeka Ibuka played in the playoffs. Jeremiah Smith played in the playoffs. Quinshon Judkins played in the playoffs. Trayvon Henderson played in the playoffs. They all played in the playoffs. I'm trying to think. So now we're talking about how broken this system is. Again, the pearl clutchers, the guys that cover college football every day, who cannot see the forest from the trees, are the ones that are like, we need to reform college football because these players are threatening and they wouldn't this. Again, who didn't play in the playoffs this year? Cam Scatterboot played in the playoffs. Quinn Ewers played in the playoffs. Nico Iamaleava played in the playoffs. But for some reason, college football media thinks that their place in society is more important than it actually is. And so they, again, cry about a system, in my opinion, that's just not broken. It's not a great system, but there are a lot worse systems out there. Phone lines are by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. One text says, in Jared's mind, there are only Power 4 teams in the system because he doesn't know anything about how the mid-majors have it. The system only benefits the Power 4, but you, talking about me, don't care about that. Well, I hate to say it, but if somebody if somebody held out at Tennessee Tech, we wouldn't have 4 hours of phone calls on it. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And this is going to sound very rude because I do think there is a place for mid-major competition in our ecosystem. But just like I told a former major league player a couple years ago, when Major League Baseball decided, okay, we're taking over the minor leagues. It used to be that the minor leagues operated independently, and the minor leagues, the city of Nashville and the Sounds would come up with an agreement with a major league team. And okay, you're the AAA team, and they agreed on a 4-year contract. And now the A's are going to be the major league team for the Sounds. And during COVID, Major League Baseball said, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We're taking over. So we're deciding, you and you're together. You're not in AAA anymore. Get out. Your stadium stinks. You and you're together. And the pearl clutching that came about, oh, what are you doing in these minor league communities? Oh, my God, what are you doing? This single A team, oh, my God, what? And somebody asked me, they said, are you not upset about this? I said, I do not care. I do not care what happens at single A baseball. Big picture. Again, big picture college football, the money that pours in, the amount of money that's going to these student athletes, call me when MTSU's quarterback is trying to get a raise from $2 million to $4 million. Then we can have a talk. But this is always how college football's been, and this is always how college football is going to be. It's always going to be about Texas and Oklahoma and USC and Michigan and Tennessee and Alabama and Ohio State and Notre Dame. And it's never not going to be about that. And so anybody who's sitting here trying to argue that, oh, no, we need to have a discussion to talk about Illinois State, give me a break. Again, we never sat there and said, Ben Roethlisberger at Miami of Ohio, he's not making enough money. We never had those discussions. It's always about Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. Unbelievable. Again, people are like, well, what about the mid-majors, Jared? Again, good luck in your conference. And I hope that you show and make your fans proud and go knock them dead in the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. But in big boy football, it's different. One texter says, Vols fans wanting all of college football to give them props for turning the kid away when they're the ones who started this mess by paying the bozo way too much money in the first place. Every team in the country would have cut him loose for these antics. It just happened to be Tennessee who invested in this bum out of the gate. So I don't look at it like that necessarily, but I do think it is, as far as like how the Tennessee fans feel about it. When they thought Nico was the truth and the NCAA came knocking saying, hold on, I don't know if these recruiting tactics were legal. It was Tennessee and the Attorney General that said, up yours, NCAA, that's our guy. Now it's, how dare he want to play for the name on the back of the jersey, not the name on the front of the jersey. I think there is at least some hypocritical elements in that. When it comes to me and Nico, again, I understand the system. Nico's entitled to do whatever he wants. But if I'm running any business, and I'm not just talking about a college football team, I'm talking about any business, the last thing I want are employees in leadership positions who are trying to take advantage of me. Somebody asked me one time, they said, Jared, why are you so hell-bent on doing a 4-hour show? Other people do 3-hour shows. You do a 4-hour show. And do you want to know what my answer was? Because I believe that 4 hours of radio, that's an honest day's work. And I feel like I am entitled to an honest day's pay. But at some point, like honesty and integrity, like those things matter at some point. It can't just all be, well, we need Congress to just make every rule for everybody and everything they do. That's why today when I was on the midday show and I was talking to Derek about this, I said, if I pay you $200 to paint my fence and you agree to it and we make a contract, so you have promised that you will paint my fence and I have promised that I will pay you $200 to paint my fence. And then you come up to me and you say, well, now I want $400 to paint your fence. Who's in the wrong? Well, but that's different because this is sports. No, it's the same. It's an agreement between two people. They signed it. One person didn't want to live up to their end of the bargain. Kevin says, it's broken, Jared. Shut up. I can't listen to this buffoonery anymore. This show is a cesspool. Can't believe your whiny ass still has a show on National Sports Talk Radio. But then again, you people, I do like this, Kevin in Florida, says you people in Nashville like garbage and stupidity. I would be more willing to discuss like, okay, what's the missing part of all of this? What is that? I'd be willing to do that if you actually cited an example saying, here's how it's broken, Jared. Unlike Joe that's like, Nick Saban doesn't like the system, so it must be broken. Yeah, Saban didn't like it because the deck was stacked in his favor. That's what he didn't like. Now, all of a sudden, he can recruit 25 stars, and he doesn't have the leverage that they'd have to sit out a year to go somewhere else. And now Saban doesn't like it. Oh, my God. Crazy. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number. What Joel Klatt had to say about this. We'll hit that next, and your phones. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in here on our program, again, that's Stillman and Company. We will be giving away tickets later in the show, not right now, later in the show for the Pilgrimage Music Festival, so be listening to that. This week's Nashville's best deal is Chiba Hut Toasted Subs. Get half off a $50 gift card right now at theGameNashville.com/deals and celebrate 420 the Chiba way on Donaldson Pike.
first things first, this is not a surprise. In fact, the only thing that's surprising about this situation is that it took this long to get to this point. Because let's start with this. The majority of players transferring in the spring window, the overwhelming majority, are in an NIL dispute or chasing an NIL bag. Okay. The other section of players that are transferring in the spring transfer portal window just lost a playing competition, a starting competition, a playing time competition. Because as Nick Saban told us on his way out the door, players are concerned with two things, and really only two things, and they relate: their value and how much money they're making. And their value is tied to how much they play. So if you remember Nick Saban's quote when he kind of left the building, if you will, he said, maybe 70 or 80% of the players you talk to, all they want to know is two things. What assurances do I have that I'm going to play, and how much are you going to pay me? And again, they're in that order because they are tied. In order to make money, you've got to play. In order to play, you've got to have assurances that you will play. So really, there's only two reasons that you're transferring in the spring portal window. You just lost a battle, which is going to limit your playing time, which is going to limit your value, or you feel like you've exceeded your value and you're going to go out and get that value on, quote, the open market.
That was Joel Klatt on his podcast talking about, Nick Saban said this on the way out the door, but I mean, the only things that the players ask me nowadays are how much they're going to play and how much they're going to get paid. How dare they? How dare they care about their own self-interest? Seriously? It's funny. Floyd told me back in the days we used to work, he said the players only care about two things. He said, you can yell at them, you can say whatever you want about them, you can, what. So they care about two things: money and playing time. That's it. That's the only currency, he used to tell me, the only currency players understand: money and playing time. So now in college football, because the players have a little leeway, it's this pearl clutching of, can you believe it? These guys, they care about, money and playing time. Yeah? Well, what do the schools care about? The schools care about money and TV. That's all they care about. Oregon's in the Big Ten, for Christ's sakes. So, again, give me a break with all of that. One texter says, the system isn't broken, LOL. No coach is complaining about kids being paid. That's not true. Kirby Smart said, and I don't remember exactly when this was, but he was like, I don't think we should pay college athletes more than $10,000 a month. I'm like, well, maybe the college athletes don't think we should pay you more than $10,000 a month. I mean, all you're doing is coaching football. You're not curing cancer. You're not stopping bad guys. You're not educating young people. You're not doing anything. You're just coaching football. Why are you making more than $10,000 a month? Oh, because somebody will pay you that. By the way, a lot of people apparently in college football seem to believe in socialism. They won't admit it, but it does seem to be the case. Says no coach is complaining about kids being paid. The issue is the transfer portal and how these coaches are not sure who will be on their team. Kirby Smart, here we go. Socialist Kirby Smart. I kid. Kirby Smart said this multiple times that they need to fix the transfer portal and make it where you go on a one-year contract. If you're going to be paying these kids, then they need to be signing real, legal, binding contracts of at least 1 year, and then they can negotiate. Again, anybody can sign a contract for anything. If Kirby is so hell-bent on, hey, you need to sign a one-year contract, fine, sign all your guys to one-year contracts. Don't worry about everybody else. You sign your guys to just one-year contracts. Nico wasn't signed to a one-year contract. So this idea, again, of, well, this system's broken because the coach isn't going to know who's going to be on their roster. But Brian Callahan doesn't know who's going to be on his roster right now. Do we feel bad for him? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Like, do you know what's going to be happening in your life in October? Give me a break. George in Murfreesboro says Nick Saban said if you don't pay the right guys, you'll be out of luck. Tennessee paid the wrong guy. Josh Heupel deserves a little blame. You got to know you're recruiting a player who is a bag chaser. Ding, 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 ding. We have collectively bargained rules in hockey, collectively bargained rules in baseball, collectively bargained rules in football, collectively bargained rules in basketball. We don't have collectively bargained rules in college sports, at least not yet. But it doesn't change the fact that you have to draft or sign the right people. And you have to make these psychoanalysis, you have to make these, again, kind of judgments, and you have to be right. Hey, they sat down with Pac-Man Jones. They thought that Pac-Man's explanation for why he got in that bar fight at West Virginia made sense, and so they drafted Pac-Man. Joke's on them. They drafted Jamarcus Russell. They thought he'd work hard. He didn't. They're fired. I mean, give me a break. You recruit the wrong guys. You bring in the wrong people into your program. I said this on Saturday. This seemed like a Butch Jones problem. Butch Jones didn't coach at UT in the era of NIL, but Butch Jones was too busy worried about what the Rivals.com rankings were and not about the culture he was building at Tennessee, that he went out there and brought in the wrong 4 stars and the wrong 5 stars. And we know how that ended for him, with the Jalen Hurd drama and Shy Tuttle falling on a helmet. And I mean, it was like every 2 weeks there was a new story when it came to Butch Jones in Tennessee. That was before we paid the players. Tennessee paid the wrong guy. This guy didn't care about Tennessee. He didn't care about being a volley. I'm not even sure if he cares about being good at football. Just cares about the money. And I just don't think you can win with guys like that all the time in leadership positions. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Okay, we got to talk about this crazy L'Jarius Sneed story. Again, a story that apparently involves an alleged shooting in Texas in December, and we're all just finding out about it now. We'll get to that next. Tell me the company, 1025 The Game. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game National Studios, presented by the Southern Bank of Tennessee. So there was a doozy of a story that came down the pipe on Friday afternoon that, again, I saw this like right before we left for the day on Friday, for the weekend, and it was L'Jarius Sneed sued over shooting at a Texas car lot in December. And I was like, wait a minute. What? Wait, hold up. What? And so it should be noted that Levi McCatherine, who is the attorney who is representing, I believe it is Christian Nishiyamina, will join us in an hour at 4:00. And because I got questions with all this thing. But if you missed this story, it is wild. I'll just read you the Pro Football Talk breakdown. At Titans corner, L'Jarius Sneed is facing a lawsuit for at least $1 million after an incident in the parking lot of a car dealership in December, according to the Associated Press. Kristen Nishimiana says Sneed, or Sneed's personal assistant, shot at him while he was sitting inside a Mercedes-Benz dealer lot on December 6th in Carrollton, Texas, a suburb of Dallas. No one was hit by bullets fired from a Lamborghini Urus as it drove by One Legacy Motors. Attorney Levi McCatherine, who again will join us at 4:00, said in a statement obtained by the Associated Press that Sneed and his accomplice were arrested by the Carrollton Police Department for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. McCatherine also accused Sneed and a woman who identified herself as Sneed's mother of threatening the alleged victim, ordering him not to cooperate with police or retain an attorney. Quote, "The proof is there," McCatherine said in his statement to Teresa Walker of the Associated Press. Quote, "There is video surveillance from the dealership showing the car and the person who opened fire on Christian. We want to know why this happened. We're thankful no one was shot, but we continue to search for the reason behind the incident." A Titan spokesperson told the AP that the team is aware of the matter and has been in contact with NFL security per league protocol. Apparently, the civil suit was filed on February 20th in Dallas County, suing L'Jarius Sneed and a defendant listed as John Doe. The lawsuit calls the incident, quote, "an unprovoked attack in cold blood and broad daylight," and states the defendant might have mistaken the alleged victim for somebody else. Apparently, the alleged victim is 23 years old and owns an exotic car rental business. So, this is a bad look for the Titans. Again, after they spent all that money on L'Jarius Sneed and all that hype, he played 5 games, stunk, got hurt, and now this. But I actually think this is good news for the Titans. Now, I'm glad nobody got hurt, and let me put that first and foremost as the most important thing. But I actually think this is good news for the Titans. Now, Levi McCatherine took a shot at the Titans in the Associated Press article, saying that he got no response when he previously reached out to the Titans. Quote, "It is clear that the Titans manage their players off the field just as they do on the field. No wonder they were the worst team in the NFL last year." Ooh. And again, it's another embarrassing moment for the Titans, who certainly have had their share. But again, I actually think this is a good thing for the Titans, and here's why. If L'Jarius Sneed ends up getting suspended for personal conduct, again, the personal conduct policy in the NFL, if Roger Goodell comes out and they can make their decision before anything becomes official, he does not have to be found guilty in a criminal trial. He does not have to be found guilty in a civil trial. We learned this with Deshaun Watson. We learned this with Tom Brady. If Roger Goodell decides to suspend L'Jarius Sneed for 1 game under the personal conduct policy, the guarantees in L'Jarius Sneed's contract void, and the Titans can get rid of him and not only keep the money that they owe him that's guaranteed, but also get back a portion of the signing bonus that was paid out last year. It's crazy, but I did the math. Right now, L'Jarius Sneed, I believe it would be worth $12 million in bonus money that has already been paid out that L'Jarius Sneed would have to give back to the Titans, plus $19 million in cash this year, plus $7.5 million next year. So that's $26.5 million the Titans would get back, that the Titans wouldn't have to pay him, plus the $12 million that he would owe them back. If the Titans were to just look at L'Jarius Sneed and they were to say, hey, we wasted a third-round pick on this guy. He's not even that good. His knees are crap. Like, he's clearly, off the field, allegedly. Let's move on. Then you can accept the sunk cost of the third-round pick. That's gone. That's spilt milk. That's over. But the money, you get that back the second the commissioner suspends him via the personal conduct policy. So L'Jarius Sneed better hope that there's not as much proof as the alleged victim's attorney is claiming that they already have. Because if that's true, and I am going to ask Levi McCatherine about what kind of proof they have. Because if it was Sneed's car, and you can tell Sneed was involved, and it was Sneed and Sneed's mother or someone claiming to be Sneed's mother that called the victim, and you have the proof that Sneed tried to get him to not cooperate with the cops, I'd say that's pretty solid evidence. If that's the case, he will get suspended under the personal conduct policy and will lose, in my estimation, $38.5 million. And he'll have no shot of getting paid the extra $23 million that's not guaranteed on the back end the last 2 years of the deal. And then factor in that he's probably going to get sued in civil court. Well, he is getting sued in civil court. And he's going to have to pay to defend himself in both civil court and in criminal court. So all this drama, all the talk, and L'Jarius Sneed might only walk away from the Titans at the end of the day with $9 million in cash. And if I'm the Titans, and the Titans have already decided, they're going to blame everything that happened before this year on Ran Carthon, no matter how culpable Chad Brinker as a lieutenant was or was not. They're going to blame everything on Ran Carthon, which may be the case, may not be the case. I don't know. We don't know. And they certainly will not volunteer that information. But when it comes to me, and it comes to all this drama and everything else, if the commissioner suspends him for one game under the personal conduct policy, then the Titans can get out of all that money they owe. And I got to tell you, at this point, I'd rather just get the money back and go get a corner that has healthy knees instead of this guy. And I got to say this too. When it comes to the Titans and the personal conduct, it will be very fascinating to see how the Titans handle this. Not because it's like, oh, should the Titans allow people with off-the-field drama on the team? That's a different discussion. And that is a discussion that we will have in just a second. But that's not what I mean by handle this. The commissioner has suspended players under the personal conduct policy in the past with a lot of pushback from the team that player plays for. Robert Kraft and the Patriots did not want Tom Brady suspended. Jerry Jones tried to use his spot on the compensation committee to withhold a contract negotiation for Roger Goodell because he was mad about Ezekiel Elliott. Well, if I'm the Titans, I want Roger Goodell to suspend L'Jarius Sneed so I can void the guaranteed money. I want that to happen. Because then I can get out of the contract and move on with my life to, again, a corner who actually has fully functioning knees. So will the Titans go to Goodell and push back? Because there's no way, if he's been arrested, which again, they say he's been arrested, if he's been charged with a crime, there is no way this is not going to Roger Goodell's desk. Again, the Titans said they've turned it over to NFL security. So if this goes to Goodell's desk, are the Titans going to say to the commissioner, no, this is bull crap, this didn't happen, L'Jarius this, he goes in the community and gives coats to the cold children and all of that? Or are they going to say, hey, commissioner, you got to do what you got to do? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Please suspend him. Because I talked to an agent today, and I said, if the team wants the commissioner to suspend a player, do you think he'd do it? And the agent said to me, look, the commissioner is supposed to be completely removed from any bias, pro team, anti-team, whatever. He said, but I know what you mean. It's hard to envision the commissioner sticking up for a player if the team isn't going to bat for him. My thing is a little bit more direct. I think that if the team wants him suspended to get out of the contract, the deck is then stacked against the player, and the commissioner will suspend him. So this L'Jarius Sneed story, it's a bad look for the Titans. And again, they're going to continue to blame Ran Carthon for all of that. And maybe they're right. I don't know. That's their business. I mean, it's not like if we say, you do know Chad Brinker was a part of all this, they don't deny it. They just ignore it. But again, going forward, there is an opportunity for the Titans to add $40 million to the purse. And again, I'd rather spend $40 million on guys with fully functioning knees. That's just me. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Then there's kind of another element of this. As far as the behavior is concerned, that is just what I believe when it comes to building a football team. And what is coming out as far as the Sneed side of things. I heard what TD said today. We'll play that next. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025, which is our phone number if you want to weigh in. It's time for the 4th annual 615 Open Charity Golf Tournament. Cromwell Media, along with other partners, Fox 17, Outfront Media, and Social Indoor, are proud to announce that we will be back at the Hermitage Golf Course on Thursday, May 29th to make a difference while having a great time. You can join us and a few guest media members, athletes, and musicians as we raise money for Folds of Honor. Donations will go to provide life-changing scholarships to the families of America's fallen or disabled military and first responders. Sign up to play or sponsor at 615open.com.
from what I understand, this is something that has been ongoing for a few months now. It's kind of a money grab attempt, and it's something that did happen. The details that were in a lot of the articles are a little bit different from, the details I got that have happened. Some of it is from Sneed's camp, and it's just one of those situations where it was completely avoidable, but it was a situation that was kind of out of a little bit of defense, like not being sure about a situation. That's pretty much the best way I could put that. And it's unfortunate, you want to see the young man distance himself from these kinds of things, but unfortunately, these things come about. But from what I understand, it is primarily a money grab.
Okay, that was TD on our program or on the midday show earlier today, talking about the L'Jarius Sneed news again, allegedly. I'm going to make sure I include that word as much as possible, David Reed. And David Reed, if I forget to put an allegedly in there at some point, just go ahead, feel free to drop it in there for me.
Will do.
Just, again, give me an allegedly right now so I know it's there.
Allegedly.
Okay, if I ever need it, Reed, you're on top of the allegedly count.
Yeah, I don't want any subpoenas. I've had enough of those in my life.
See, yeah, I have been sued before, but I was like the 15th person on a 15-person thing, and I ended up winning, but it temporarily cost me, a bunch of money. But again, that's a different story. But again, when it comes to L'Jarius Sneed thing, this is all alleged, but allegedly, Sneed's Lamborghini shot at a man inside of a Mercedes-Benz at a upscale car dealership in Texas. Allegedly, L'Jarius Sneed or someone pretending to be his mom and someone pretending or someone that was his mom or claiming to be his mom called and tried to dissuade the alleged victim from going to the police or retaining an attorney. And allegedly, they don't even know why Sneed was firing at them in the first place. So we're going to have the attorney on, and I have a lot of questions, including that cut TD said right there where TD's like, yeah, I'm hearing this is a cash grab. I am going to play that cut for the attorney, and I'm going to ask him straight up, is this a cash grab? When it comes to L'Jarius Sneed saying, and again, that cut that we play from TD, when it comes to they were unsure of the situation, what does he make of that? Because surely he's talked to Sneed's side before going public with all of this. So we're going to be fair. Because somebody you said on the YouTube chat, how can you bring this man on the show? You are going wild and crazy down this road. You haven't even interviewed a coach. Interviewed a coach? What does the coach have to do with this? Nothing. But there are questions to be asked, and I will ask them. In fact, I've written some of these down. I don't usually write down questions ahead of an interview, but I did just to make sure I get out there what I really want to talk about, which is, A, how did all this go down? So you mean to tell me your client was just minding his own business, sitting there in a random Mercedes-Benz at a random car dealership, and all of a sudden it was bang, 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 bang. And then how did that lead to it's L'Jarius Sneed, we're going to sue him? So give me that. Number two, he says he's got proof. What proof do you have? How do we know that was Sneed? Is it surveillance video from the dealership? How do you know that it was Sneed firing the weapon? How do you know Sneed was even there? All of that. I need to know the circumstances surrounding the alleged phone call in which Sneed allegedly tried to dissuade him from going to the cops or from retaining an attorney. I want to know what the reaction is to TD saying, hey, according to what TD's hearing, this is a cash grab. And then is there any motive that his client was targeted for this? And then apparently there was a quote, and I haven't seen it, but apparently there was a quote in one of these stories where Levi McCatherine said that there's a pattern of behavior with L'Jarius Sneed. Did I miss something? Because while L'Jarius Sneed sucked last year and his knees are a problem, no matter how much everybody wanted to deny it, I don't know about a pattern of bad behavior. So I want some more details as far as that is concerned. But I am trying, again, to be fair. That's all I'm interested in, being fair. And so he's got accusations. Let's hear them out. And again, it'd be one thing if we just took this story and we just said, okay, well, he said this, so let's pretend this is the case. No. We got to ask. And if there's a little gray area in something, I'm going to want the answers. So no, it is not like, oh, Jared's just going anti-L'Jarius Sneed. I'll say this. I think L'Jarius Sneed has bad knees. And I think L'Jarius Sneed is never going to be the player that he was in Kansas City. And I think Kansas City knew that. And I think that that's why they traded him to the Titans. And that's why they gave up one of the top corners in the league for a future third-round pick, because they just wanted him off their hands. That's what I believe. Now, as far as what happened at the car dealership and everything else, that I'm still gathering the information on. That's why we're having the attorney on the program. But I'm still gathering those context clues and whatever. I just don't want to have to pay L'Jarius Sneed. And right now, you're on the hook for his salary this year, plus $7.5 million guaranteed for injury next season. And he will definitely get that because he will definitely be hurt. Well, if L'Jarius Sneed gets suspended by the commissioner under the personal conduct policy in the NFL, then you don't have to pay it. And if you get $40 million back, you can go sign another player, another 2 players, another 3 players. You can go do all of that. And so I want the money back. That's how I view this. But again, I also believe in the truth. And I believe in what's fair. So if L'Jarius Sneed didn't do anything, then we'll have this lawyer on, and it'll be like when we interviewed Greg Bedard last year. Remember when he wrote that people were believing that Rand Carthon was a minority hire, and I asked him about it, and he was like, well, this, that, and it made him look, then that'll be the case. And if this guy's like, we have video evidence of L'Jarius Sneed shooting at our client, it's going to be hard for me to deny that that's the case. But you don't know if you don't ask. So we are going to ask. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. One texter says, are you really going to steep to the point of bringing on the attorney suing our top corner? You're going to lose some fans today. Let me say this. If you think, if you listen to this show and you're like, man, I didn't know that Jared Stillman was going to call out something that had to do with the Titans or one of the teams, then you haven't been listening to this show very long, or you're that not much of a fan. So I think this is kind of par for the course. Again, we're getting to the bottom of it. Think of it like Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes. Think of it like that. 615-737-1025, more of your phones. We'll get to your phones on this. And I think there's one thing that, again, Titan fans haven't been doing, but it's time to start doing. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game. And let me tell all the fine folks out there, do not miss the final Smashville Live tomorrow night at Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue, 6 o'clock. As you can see your Predator star players up close and personal and get autographs and pictures. And the show tomorrow will feature players Luke Evangelista and top prospect Matthew Wood. That's tomorrow night at Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love Hiller. They take great care of my home, and they can do the exact same for you. Did you know that no one wants to deal with a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical emergency? Of course you know that, because you don't want to deal with that. Well, most of the time when you have one of those issues, someone is going to come to your home, and you don't know what it'll cost. You know you'll have to pay for it, but you don't know what it'll cost. Because I use Hiller at my home. Cooling and electrical. The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay, with no hidden fees or surprises on your bill. So book online right now by visiting happyhiller.com. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Preds of Vols and Vandy. Hiller, Call the Hat Face Truck today.
Can you tell Titan fans, in regards to your need, that they have nothing to worry about?
Titans fans, I'm here to tell you that you don't have anything to worry about from the Jerry Sneed knee. The Jerry Sneed is going to go out there every practice, every game, and give you my all. Go back and watch the film. I gave everybody my all, no matter what my knee, because the condition that my knee was in. My knee is in great position. I know what to do to maintain my knee, or whatever I need to do. I got this end of my part. I'm just going out here and play ball. Just give Tennessee Titans fans and this organization all of me. So the knee is not a problem.
Okay.
So they can stop worrying about that.
You can stop worrying about my knee, even though I will play 5 games in the upcoming season. And then after I get hurt, 2 days before my team plays a game, I am going to allegedly be involved in a shooting in Texas. But just know, fans, I'm going to give you my all. I love that cut. That cut will never. Titan fans, you have nothing to worry about with L'Jarius Sneed's knees. He played 5 games last year. Oh, it's amazing. Okay, so a couple of quick little housekeeping items as far as the Sneed front's concerned. Number one, as far as your draft needs for the Titans, go ahead and add corner to the list. Because right now there are 3 major needs this team has. So before even getting into tight end and swing tackle, and I think this team could probably use another running back, because while I do like Tony Pollard, he has been injured the last couple of years, and I don't think Tajay Spears is anything more than a third down back. They need a receiver. Like, they need a starting receiver. They need an edge rusher. They need a quarterback. Now, we know they're going to draft Cam Ward, so that'll be taken care of. But as of right now, they still have not drafted Cam Ward. So, again, when it comes to the needs of the team, go ahead and add corner to the list. Quarterback, edge rusher, wide receiver, tight end, corner. Because right now the Titans' corner situation is L'Jarius Sneed, Jarvis Brownlee, and Roger McCreary is the nickel. Now, McCreary's contract is up at the end of the year, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Titans gave him an extension, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they didn't give him an extension. McCreary's okay. I would sign him probably just so I don't have to worry about it next year when the prices go up and free agency and everything else, but that's their business, not mine. Sneed, I don't know at all how you could possibly pretend to rely on that guy. Regardless of whether or not you think this is a cash grab, the courts and the commissioner will decide that. I mean, if, again, and the guy says he has proof and he's coming on the show, if they have proof and it's L'Jarius Sneed and you see him shooting at this guy, well, then he's going to jail, allegedly, speculatively. He's going to jail. Well, now he can't play corner for you because he's in jail. So, regardless of the knees or the personal conduct, you cannot look at that guy and say, okay, we're set at that position. And that's before we get to, hey, is Brownlee going to have a sophomore slump now that there's more tape out on him, now that the league knows that he's very handsy, now that the officials know that he's handsy and he'll get called for it? Put corner on the list. Now, I would put corner with tight end simply because I just don't think corners are that important. As I've said, I would not draft Travis Hunter with the first overall pick and play him at corner because I don't think corner's that important. I think edge rusher, quarterback, tackle, receiver, I think those are that important. I do not think corner is that important. But you also still have to have warm bodies out there at corner. And right now, they've got Brownlee, McCreary, and a giant question mark in the spot of L'Jarius Sneed. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com at 615-737-1025. Kyle says, I think a lot of people are going to be shocked at the actual journalism that takes place when you interview the attorney at 4 o'clock because they watch such horrible news. So here's a question I guess I would ask everybody, and I mean this honestly, which is, do you think I'm bringing on this attorney to sit there and say, okay, Mr. Attorney, tell us all the bad news on L'Jarius Sneed so we can lock him up and throw away the key? Because I have to ask, when have I ever done that? Look, I got opinions, and I can be very staunch in my own personal belief of those opinions. I'm not going to back down off of that. But when have I ever been significantly unfair? It's like my buddy's dad said to me last year and this was Christmas of 2023. And I told my buddy's dad, I said, we were at a party, and I said, they got to clean house. They got to fire Vrabel. They got to fire Rand Carthon. They got to start over. They got to get an experienced football person. And he goes, that's your answer to everything. You want to fire everybody. I said, that's not true. That's not true. Who have I wanted to fire? Well, you wanted to fire Jerry Stackhouse. You wanted to fire David Boyle. You wanted to fire John Hines. You wanted to fire Mike Vrabel. You wanted to fire, you're right. But I never thought that Mike Mularkey should be fired because he won football games. And he got fired. I didn't want to fire John Robinson because he won football games. And he got fired. So, I mean, for me, when it comes to the guys that are worth firing, I think I'm fair. And that's the case with everything. It's like, I guarantee you, just based off of his Twitter and comments and everything else, Jeffrey Simmons thinks that I have a stick up my tush with his name on it. Like, he thinks that I wake up in the morning and I'm like, how can I criticize Jeffrey Simmons today? That's not it. Go get the quarterback. And then you won't be criticized anymore. It's as simple as that. One texter says, you were unfair calling the Kim Caldwell hire embarrassing, and you still haven't apologized. Not sure I remember the Kim Caldwell hire. I mean, we'll see. But she's so far doing a pretty good job at Tennessee. See if she wins. We'll see if she wins, more than a Sweet 16. One texter said, Jared, you said it was his assistant who fired shots at the guy, not Steve himself. I didn't say that. I have no idea. Don't tell me that I said I did not say that. At least get the story right. Stop saying it was Sneed who fired. I don't know who fired. And again, they say they have proof that somebody fired. I'm going to ask the attorney what the proof was. Like, what's the proof? I think that's a fair question to ask. But I did not say that it was Sneed's assistant that fired. I did not see the story that said that Sneed's assistant fired. I did not say Sneed fired. I did not say any of that. And if I did say it, David Reed, what word did I use to describe whether or not it happened?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Don't be throwing me into this. I didn't do anything for this. On December 6th, I was getting ready for the Jacksonville game, unlike L'Jarius Sneed, apparently. I think when the Jacksonville game happened, I want to say that was right around when the Titans made up that bull crap that L'Jarius Sneed had a quad injury, and then everyone tried to say, Jared, it's the quad, not the knee, even though it was absolutely the knee, just based off the kind of brace and things that he was in, but also the knee is connected to the quad. But y'all keep believing what you want to believe. Let Rand cook. 615-737-1025. More your phones again. Attorney Levi McCatherine, who is representing the alleged victim in the L'Jarius Sneed, Texas shooting, will join us at 4 o'clock right here on the program. Stillman & Company, 102.5 The Game.
is there any way that any of this could have been avoided? Like, I don't know what's true, what's not true. How is there any way any of this could have been avoided? Because you have more to lose than he has to gain. Well, I guess, yeah, you have more to lose than he has to gain, because you ain't gonna get it all, but you gonna lose it all. He's not gonna get it all, but you gonna lose it all. I just, listening to what Teresa said, and I know Teresa got it verbatim from them. Okay, first it was, you don't know who shot. It was either Sneed or his assistant. You don't know who shot him, but then at the end you said it was Sneed that shot at you, or you're identifying him as the shooter. So which one is it? And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying that you're wrong in what you're saying. I'm just saying which one, because these are the things that are going to be asked. Which one? So which one is it? And then why are you calling him to threaten him in any way? Why are you calling him, period? Like, the minute you call somebody that is accusing you of something, that's you basically tampering. He can say you threatened him.
That was D. Mace today on the Midday Show. I love D. Mace. Again, all of these facts are alleged one way or another. And attorney Levi McCatson will join us at the top of the hour, so in about 10 minutes. But I love how D. Mace is like, why are you calling him? What are you doing? So again, just to give you the play-by-play of what has been reported by the AP, all of this is alleged, and we will have the attorney on. But Kristen Nisha, I'm going to try to get this right, Nishamini Yamanana, I think I got that wrong, was sitting inside a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon on December 6th in Carrollton, Texas. Neither he nor anyone else was hit by bullets fired from a Lamborghini Urus driving past One Legacy Motors. Much of what happened is redacted in the police report obtained by the Associated Press. Apparently, Sneed and his accomplice were arrested by the Carrollton Police Department for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after the shooting, but have yet to answer for it. McCatherine also accused Sneed and a woman who identified herself as Sneed's mother of calling and threatening the alleged victim afterwards, wanting him not to cooperate with the police or retain an attorney. So we shall see how this goes one way or another. Somebody in the YouTube chat said, Judge Jared at 4:00 today. Don't think of me as Judge Jared. Think of me as a curious mind who wants to get to the bottom of it. Think of me as Walter Cronkite, who at the end of the day, I'll just stack my papers. I'll just put them all together and say, and that's the way it is, as far as we're concerned. Now, apparently this attorney is actually pretty famous. I guess he was involved in the Joe Exotic cases. He has represented Dak Prescott. He has represented the Dallas Cowboys. He has represented Reggie Bush. He is, I think this is like one of those like Rusty Harden type guys. One texter says, do you think part of the reason that Chad Brinker hired Mike Borgonzi is because Kansas City absolutely fleeced the Titans in the L'Jarius Sneed trade? So I think we need to understand something right now. So a lot of people have brought this up about Brinker and Borgonzi, and what happened was when the Titans acquired L'Jarius Sneed, Paul Kaharski reported that the way the deal went down was Chad Brinker had a relationship with Mike Borgonzi in Kansas City, so they kind of were the lines of communication between the two teams. That does not mean that Mike Borgonzi is the one who made the trade, or that Chad Brinker had any authority towards demanding what went to Kansas City in exchange of the deal and what the Titans were to give up. And then this is what happened. Okay, because again, this is just how these things work. It's semantics, but I do feel like enough people have made a big deal about, well, Borgonzi negotiated the trade. Right. Mike Borgonzi was a representative of the Kansas City Chiefs. Chad Brinker was a representative of the Tennessee Titans. The two sides were talking about a potential deal. My guess is Kansas City said, hey, we want your 2025 first. And they said, hey, that's not going to work. And then they went back to their side, and they went back to their side and said, okay, well, would you do a second? No, you probably wouldn't do a second. Would you? That's what they're doing. That's not like Mike Borgonzi said, oh, Andy, we got to get rid of L'Jarius Sneed. He's going to be a problem here. We've got to do it, and we've got to. And it wasn't like Brinker was saying, Rand, we got to make this trade. No, I'm not saying that that's not what happened, but again, neither of those guys, according to their teams, at that point in time, were given that level of authority for that to matter. They're just doing their jobs. That's it. So I don't, when it comes to that, I don't get worked up one way or another about what Borgonzi did or what Borgonzi didn't do. One texter says, to anybody out there that gets mad at this program for bringing the lawyer on, they are wrong. I love the drama. Bring him on. Again, I would just hope that you guys have listened to the show enough to know that I'm not going to bring him on here and just pat him on the rear end. Like, I don't do that. I would like to believe that I've got a no-nonsense tolerator, and when you start to bring that to me in a disingenuous and easily debunkable way, I get offended by it. So if he comes on the program, and again, TD said from what he's heard, it sounds like this is just a cash grab. If that's the case, and it starts to sound like this in the conversation that we have with it, then I'm going to say, well, wait a minute, hold on now. I have no determination about guilt or innocence or anything else. The only thing that I know, what I do feel pretty certain about, is that there will be a process as far as the legal proceedings are concerned, because there is a criminal element to this as well as the civil element. You know, again, these are two different things. O.J. Simpson, criminally innocent. Civil state owes, or I guess Ron Goldman's family, everything. So we're going to get to the bottom of this and then decide. But the one thing that I do feel that I feel like is pretty likely, Sneed's probably going to go on the commissioner's exempt list. That is where you don't count against the 90-man, 53-man roster. The team doesn't have to pay you, I don't believe, while you're on the exempt list, but you kind of go away for a while. It's the commissioner's exempt list. Hassan Haskins spent some time on that when he was going through his issue. One text says, Jared, the attorney is going to use you to turn the public opinion to his side to get Sneed to settle this case out of court. Well, then let's reach out to Sneed's lawyer and bring him on tomorrow. I'm not against that. 615-737-1025. Levi McCatherine will join us next. He represents the alleged victim in the L'Jarius Sneed alleged shooting. I've got questions. We'll get to them next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios and presented by the Southern Bank of Tennessee. We're live at Bridgestone Arena. Preds, game 81 of 82 tonight, right here against the Utah Hockey Club. So I was stunned on Friday when I saw a story from the AP about a Texas man who is accusing Titans corner L'Jarius Sneed or his personal assistant of shooting at him while he was sitting inside a Mercedes-Benz on a dealer's lot in December. And apparently that man is suing L'Jarius Sneed for at least $1 million. According to the AP report, there was a civil lawsuit filed on February 20th in Dallas County, Texas, suing Sneed and a defendant listed as John Doe for an unprovoked attack in cold blood and broad daylight. Apparently, the alleged victim owns an exotic car rental business and was researching vehicles for his company. The lawsuit includes a still photo from a surveillance video showing an arm reaching out of a sport utility vehicle on the street with what the lawsuit describes as a pistol circled in red. So with that being said, we are joined by Levi McCatherine, who is currently representing the alleged victim. Levi McCatherine has represented others such as Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, Joe Exotic, and more. So this is certainly not his first rodeo. So Levi, I want to start here with, which is, there is a police report that is heavily redacted. What I wonder is, can you fill in some of the blanks for us? What is kind of your side of the story about how all of this went down?
Well, Jared, thanks for having me. It's kind of a crazy story. I mean, it is literally the middle of the afternoon. My client was at a car dealership looking to buy a G-Wagon. And while he's sitting in the G-Wagon with a friend of his, this Lamborghini cuts a big U, comes screaming down the street, window rolls down about 10 feet away from the car. It's clearly L'Jarius Sneed, and we think his personal assistant. We actually have his name here, but I won't give it for the broadcast. And he just flat opened fire into this G-Wagon, and some of the shots hit the dealership, and a lot of them hit the car. And just by the grace of God, none of them hit my client. The thing that is shocking to me about it is I reached out to everybody I could find that was in any way connected to L'Jarius, and nobody would even call me back to discuss it. So I've got the police report where L'Jarius got arrested, and obviously the name's on it. And I've got information from my client. No one from the Titans or L'Jarius agent or L'Jarius has ever bothered to call me back.
Well, you say that, but there's also an accusation in here that somebody, that L'Jarius and somebody claiming to be L'Jarius Sneed's mother reached out to the alleged victim, asking them or perhaps threatening them to not cooperate with the police or retain an attorney. What are the circumstances surrounding that phone call? Because that does seem somewhat suspicious.
Yeah, that is before I was hired as an attorney in the case. But my understanding from talking to my client is that after this episode, after the incident, he got a call from an unknown number, and the people on the call identified themselves as L'Jarius and L'Jarius' mother, and basically threatened him, with additional physical violence if he went and cooperated with the police. So I cannot verify right now that call is actually from his mother or L'Jarius. I can 100% verify that L'Jarius was in the car and is either the driver of the Lamborghini or the guy that's holding the pistol out the window shooting. I just don't know who's who yet because we haven't gotten all of the information in the case.
Mm-hmm. Do you have proof of that phone call being placed? Like you said, an unknown number. Was it a blocked number? Was it a phone number that you have that you can confirm is L'Jarius Sneed's number? I just asked that specific detail.
I cannot confirm that because the number was blocked. So no, I cannot confirm it's him.
Okay, so you brought up proof and about knowing that it was for sure L'Jarius Sneed in that car. Is this dealer security cam footage? What footage do you have that proves to you that it was L'Jarius in the car with somebody that you think you have the name of, but you're labeling as a John Doe for right now?
Well, I definitely have the name because it's on the Carrollton Police Department report, which I'm happy to send you after this interview. I have a hard time even saying the guy's name. It's like Tikanze Warmick Williams in Legarius. Yes, it is the security footage from the dealership that has the entire incident on video.
So Levi McCormick is our guest. He is representing the alleged victim in the alleged Legarius Sneed assault with a deadly weapon. I do wonder, do we know which side of the car the shots came from? Can you tell based off of the security cam footage? And could that give you an idea as to who was pulling the trigger?
It's definitely out of the passenger side of the car. I can tell that from the security cam footage. And no, because I don't know which one of them was sitting on which side, which I'm sure we're going to find out in short order. We just don't know right now. I'm not sure which one had the gun. But the thing that makes them both equally culpable here is this Urus went by the spot where the G-Wagon is. You can actually see the G-Wagon in the picture here as well. That's in the pleading if you have it in front of you, Jared. And it went down and shot a high-speed U-turn and came back and slowed and basically stopped in this spot to unload the gun. So obviously both occupants of that vehicle were in on whatever was happening because the driver had to behave in a certain way to get the shooter in position to actually shoot the car.
Wow. Levi McCathron's with us. Is there any motive here about, like, did your client have prior business with Legarius Sneed? Does your client know Legarius Sneed? Do you know if Legarius Sneed knows your client? I mean, just from what I read in the AP report, it sounded pretty random, but is there some info that connects, a motive as to why this would have happened?
Done a great deal of research into that. And right now, all I can come up with is it's a case of mistaken identity is my guess. My client doesn't have any dealings with Legarius previously, did not know who he was. There's some previous things that we have not talked about yet where Legarius had actually pulled up in the same car and seen my client and another gentleman at a gas station previous to this. And the word that my client used to all use is he was mean mugging them. But they had no idea who this guy was. And it literally wasn't until the police arrested him and did the background that we found out it was Legarius Sneed. The police are actually the ones who originally told my client it was Legarius Sneed that was involved.
Mm-hmm. I do want to go to a quote that you had in a report in which you said that, let me make sure that I have this as the, get the right one. Quote, regardless the unprovoked aggravated assault of my client with a deadly weapon is part of a pattern of behavior for Mr. Sneed, and he must be held responsible for his actions so they do not happen again. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I can tell you all about how bad his knees are from a football standpoint, but I don't know anything about a pattern of behavior. So what is this pattern of behavior that you're referring to in that comment?
It's my understanding, although I don't have the evidence like I have of the video here, that this kind of an episode has occurred with him previously. I don't have something that I can lay out for you that is 100% proof of that, but it is certainly my understanding.
It kind of sounds like a pretty strong accusation, but again, I did wonder about that one. And then a last one for you, Levi McCathron with us here on the program. So I do believe that there are multiple sides to stories one way or another, and I'm just trying to figure out what's what and try to piece together the details. But Teron Davenport, who covers the Titans for ESPN.com, was on a program earlier today, was asked about some of the research he's done in reference to this alleged case. Here's what he said. I'm going to play this for you, and then I'd like your reaction.
From what I understand, this is something that has been ongoing for a few months now. It's kind of a money grab attempt, and it's something that did happen. The details that were in a lot of the articles are a little bit different from, the details I got that have happened. Some of it is from Sneed's camp, and it's just one of those situations where it was completely avoidable, but it was a situation that was kind of out of a little bit of defense, like not being sure about a situation. That's pretty much the best way I could put that. And it's unfortunate, you want to see the young man distance himself from these kinds of things. But, unfortunately, these things come about. But from what I understand, it is primarily a money grab.
Okay, your reaction.
Absolutely laughable. These things come about. A guy driving down the road in the middle of a Sunday afternoon just decides, I'm going to shoot a bunch of holes in a G-Wagon with two guys sitting in it. Give me a break. And I can say that has been the Titans' response and the way they've handled this kind of from day one. A defensive situation of what? My guys are literally sitting there looking at a car. They were always unarmed. There was no physical confrontation, and they just got their car all shot up by somebody who they don't even know. And yet it's like a money grab. Come on. It's it's an avoidable situation, or it's something. These things will happen. I'll say this: if these things are happening up there in Nashville, I'm never leaving Dallas, because that's not something that happens down here where I'm just out on a Sunday afternoon looking at a car and somebody shoots holes in it.
So I would say this, because you did bring up talking to the Titans and a lack of response from them. The Titans have said they've passed this on to league security. I do wonder, in your shoes, what response you're expecting from the Titans.
I would love them, as you said, to have started a dialogue so that we would be able to say, hey, for instance, is he the shooter or is he not? Why did they shoot at this car? I mean, again, all of a sudden, the first I've ever heard of it, and I'm so glad somebody talked, say, oh, it's an avoidable situation, or it's just one of these things that happens, whatever the quote was. I would love to know what they have to say about it. I mean, honestly, my guy almost lost his life, and he's very curious as to why. I think if it was you'd want to know why too, and I'd love them to pick up the phone and call me. And by the way, you can see from my prior representation, and 99% of the time I represent the players or the teams in these situations. Teams usually deal with this in a productive manner, meaning, hey, let's all sit down and have a talk about what happened here, as opposed to they hide and won't even respond. I mean, I got in direct messages to many of the chief executives at the Titans, and no one ever reached out to me, because we were simply trying to, I mean, one of the things was obviously confirming that it's Legarius, right? But
sure.
We have the police report, we have the video. When the clients first came to me, I'm obviously don't want to accuse a guy falsely of doing something. And when the little quote you just played me read, it kind of sounded like an excuse. Well, I would have loved to have heard the excuse from them, but they sure didn't give it to me or my client.
Sure. Levi McCatherine, again, he's representing the alleged victim in the alleged Legarius Sneed aggravated assault. Levi, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Take care.
Absolutely. Please send me that police report as well when you get a chance.
Happy to.
Yep. Thank you, Levi. Levi McCatherine, and I will get a copy of that, and we'll see what I can share and can't share when I get that. So with that, we'll get to everybody's reaction next. We've heard one side of that story, and it did kind of fill in some details. I'll get to my reaction first and then your reaction. 615-737-1025 here on the program, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. So reacting, we just had Levi McCatherine on the program. He is the attorney representing the alleged victim in the alleged L'Jarius Sneed aggravated assault, the shooting at a car lot in Dallas. This is very clearly a high-end car lot if the guy's inside of a G-Wagon and L'Jarius Sneed is turning around in the Lamborghini and everything else. So let me just first get a couple of things out of the way. This is going to sound crazy. I don't think that it matters that the Titans have not reached out to the attorney. If I'm the Titans, I'm looking at this as that's his business, not mine. So you need to talk to his attorneys, his people, his everything. And I've already told you that if I'm the Titans, I'm looking for him to get suspended so I can void the guaranteed money and move on. But I do not, when it comes to the Titans in this, look, you know that if I thought the Titans were in the wrong, I'd say it. I don't think the Titans are in the wrong here. Number two, I don't think he should have taken that shot at Nashville saying, hey, in Dallas, we don't have this kind of, dude, I've seen those shows, like the First 48 and everything else. Dallas, I like living where I live. After that, it seems like they've got some pretty good proof that proves that L'Jarius Sneed was at least, that it was his car, that they pulled that U-turn right in front of that car lot and started firing. I'm trying to figure out how that's not attempted murder because, I don't think they're trying to injure by shooting up the car lot. But again, I'm not a district attorney or anything else. When I asked him about it being a cash grab, he said it was laughable. Again, if it wasn't L'Jarius Sneed, if it was John Sneed, would there be a $1 million plus lawsuit? Probably not. But life's a two-way street. And everybody who has any sort of level of fortune or fame understands that, hey, if you do something, they will come after you as a target more so than they would, again, John Sneed, just because that's how suing people works. You go with the people with the deep pockets. It did kind of seem slanderous with the point when I asked about the pattern of behavior. I said, okay, so what is this pattern of behavior we're talking about? Because I haven't heard about any pattern of behavior surrounding L'Jarius Sneed, and he did not have really anything that would validate that other than I heard. And for me, when we're talking about a guy's reputation, I heard at this level is probably not good enough. And I need to know more about this gas station, this kind of mean bugging at the gas station. What was that about? So other than that, it sounds like they have the proof. And if you don't know what the motive is, and Sneed and his camp, they're not getting out there to push back on the narrative, we'll reach out. But they're not pushing back on the narrative. It does make me feel like this is not good news for him. That was just my reaction. David Reed, what was your reaction as you listened to the Levi McCatherine interview?
So my initial reaction when you asked which side of the car were the gunshots coming from, and this is just me. I don't have a personal assistant and I don't drive a Lamborghini, but I'm not going to let my personal assistant drive my Lamborghini. So that to me kind of puts in my mind that maybe this isn't actually Sneed doing the shooting in this scenario. But to the lawyer's point, he's in the car. Had this guy died, they would both be up on murder charges. So he's just as culpable if he was in that car and those shots were coming out of his car, allegedly.
Boy, I got to tell you, this is just me. Doesn't this sound like the stupidest thing to get yourself into?
Yes. And it's hard for me to, when he says, it's hard to cry you were defending yourself when you make a U-turn and fire shots at someone in a parking lot. You had every opportunity to leave that situation. That's not self-defense.
Yeah. So, again, he did say, like, they've got the footage from the dealership. And if that footage is what he said it was, it's going to be really hard to dispute that. Let's go to your phones. As promised, your reaction on this. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Michael has been waiting patiently here on the program. Michael, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I missed the first half of the interview, so forgive me if I accidentally repeat something. But my question is, this happened in December, allegedly, and the police report was filed, I think, in February, from what I heard correctly. So how did no one know about this, like on social media or anything? Because if anything, if a celebrity or an athlete does something that's not even 10 times worse than this, it gets spread around pretty quickly, and people start to figure out about it. I just don't understand how this is basically hid under the rug for about 4 months, and not a single person has ever found out about it until you report it at the very end of the show on Friday. Because even the national media is not really talking about it, and that's obviously, I don't know the Titans aren't really important to anybody. I'm just real confused as to the timeline and the reporting.
So I think I have an understanding of this. And I do want people to understand. Michael, thank you. That's a very good question you ask and a very good call. So the first thing is the civil case was filed February 20th. The criminal charges, I don't know when those were brought. Again, I'm awaiting the police report from Levi's law firm. They're going to send that to us, and we'll go through that. And we'll probably have to have some conversations behind the scenes before we talk about what we see in the police report. But my guess is that those, and again, I'm assuming here, that the criminal charges came before the civil thing was filed. The reason we probably didn't hear about this, and again, I'm speculating on this, the reason we probably didn't hear about this is because Carrollton, Texas is a suburb of Houston. So this happened in Houston. And yes, L'Jarius Sneed is famous, but he's not Patrick Mahomes, right? He's not Taylor Swift. There is a difference between famous and famous. Like, if I were to get arrested for something in Nashville, all of the people that monitor the police feeds and everything else would see Jared Stillman, and it would be front page of the Tennessean, and it would be Jared Stillman shoots up a car dealership, in mugshots, everything. If I went to a major American city that almost nobody there probably even has a clue that I exist, Vegas. Would the people that are tracking the Vegas police reports, would they see a Jared Stillman come through and he's like, oh my God, that's Jared Stillman on 102.5 The Game in Nashville? Probably not. So I think that might have something to do with it. That would be my assessment there of why we're just hearing about this. Because I do understand when you're like, wait a minute, we hear about everybody. Well, we hear about a guy blowing his nose from the wrong nostril and he got arrested. And how are they not with the... I mean, I got to tell you, I got a speeding ticket about a month ago, and I'm surprised that didn't come through. It'd be like, oh, Jared Stillman doing 36 and a 25, send him to jail and throw away the key. Allegedly, by the way, doing 36 and a 25. I want everybody to know that. Allegedly. So my guess is that, like, nobody who's monitoring those things in Carrollton, Texas and Houston, that nobody saw L'Jarius Sneed and said, oh my God, that's L'Jarius Sneed on the Titans. That's my guess there. Let's go to Jared, who's up next here on the program, 615-737-1025. Jared, go ahead. Okay, it said in his comment box that he wanted to talk about, again, why nobody else is talking about this. I do think, this is going to sound bad, because I don't think you can win with guys that are as stupid as what the alleged conduct sounds like. Again, and I'm sure that there is a side of the story to this as far as L'Jarius Sneed is concerned. Now, I would be fascinated to see if the side of the story that L'Jarius Sneed tells makes a lot of sense, but I don't think that there's anything that he could tell me that would, if what the attorney said, that they did the U-turn and they came back and they shot up the car lot, and that it's, they did a U-turn and they opened the window and bam, they just started firing. There's nothing they can probably tell me that would justify that action one way or another. But I do wonder, okay, so what's Sneed's side of the story here? Because it does sound like there is proof, when it comes to Sneed's car, Sneed being in the car, etc. That is kind of concerning. All right, we'll get to more of your phones. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number, 615-737-1025, plus some interesting commentary from PK on this that I want to get to, and we will do that coming up next as well. 615-737-1025. And a reminder for me to tell all the fine folks out there that if you want to see Keith Urban at Bridgestone Arena VIP style, text the keyword Keith right now to 615-737-1025, and you'll receive a link to sign up for a chance to win tickets in the all-inclusive Eurostone Club at Bridgestone Arena to see Keith Urban. Plus, you also have the chance to win $1,000 cash. Good luck on that. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. there is a police report that is heavily redacted. What I wonder is, can you fill in some of the blanks for us? What is kind of your side of the story about how all of this went down?
Well, Jared, thanks for having me. It's kind of a crazy story. I mean, it is literally the middle of the afternoon. My client was at a car dealership looking to buy a G-Wagon. And while he's sitting in the G-Wagon with a friend of his, this Lamborghini cuts a big U, comes screaming down the street, window rolls down about 10 feet away from the car. It's clearly L'Jarius Sneed, and we think his personal assistant. We actually have his name here, but I won't give it for the broadcast. And he just flat opened fire into this G-Wagon, and some of the shots hit the dealership, and a lot of them hit the car. And just by the grace of God, none of them hit my client. The thing that is shocking to me about it is I reached out to everybody I could find that was in any way connected to L'Jarius, and nobody would even call me back to discuss it. So I've got the police report where L'Jarius got arrested, and obviously the name's on it, and I've got information from my client. No one from the Titans or L'Jarius agent or L'Jarius has ever bothered to call me back.
There you go. That was Levi McCatherine, who represents the alleged victim in the alleged L'Jarius Sneed aggravated assault case. And I have received the report. Reed, in fact, I'm going to text this to you. I mean, do you talk about redacted? Like, the entire page is just, there's like 6 pages. And outside of the first page, which just lists people's names, everything else is blacked out. Like, it's just black page, black page, black page, black page. And we find that offense 1, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, was on December 6th of 2024 at 15:41. So what? That would be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if I'm correct. That would be 3:41 on Thursday, December 6th. No, excuse me. Friday, December 6th of this past year. The Titans played, make sure you get this right. The Titans played on December 8th against Jacksonville. So, and then my son was born on Wednesday. So that is all you get out of that redacted report. So PK has a report. And have you seen, Reed, are you looking at this redacted report?
I am. This looks like documents from the Kennedy assassination.
I mean, it's just like black pages.
It looks like a loading error on a web page.
Everything is just completely redacted. So Paul Kaharski had a fascinating piece that dropped at paulkaharski.com. And it says this, quote, "At the NFL scouting combine, I picked up on a vibe that the Titans weren't thrilled with L'Jarius Sneed because of stuff that went beyond his 2024 injury that limited him to 5 games in his first season with the team. I poked around," PK writes, "but didn't come up with anything. The AP reported late last week that a Texas man is accusing Sneed or his assistants of shooting at the alleged victim at a car dealership in Carrollton, Texas. The Titans gave the standard comment about being aware of the situation and following league protocol and talking with NFL security. The alleged incident is concerning on many levels, but what strikes me the most is a line of the quote from the lawyer regarding the civil lawsuit against Sneed and his unnamed assistant." Now, this goes back to Sneed with a pattern of behavior. We asked Levi McCatherine about that, and Levi McCatherine, in fairness to L'Jarius Sneed, did not have a lot of proof to back that up. You know, again, like when I say, hey, what kind of proof do you have? You know, if you had a PI go out there and dig some stuff, and maybe that's the stuff they keep in the back pocket for, hey, this is why we want to settle this so that other stuff doesn't come out. Maybe that's the case. But again, if you're going to accuse it, and I'm going to put you on the spot, you're going to have to tell me the proof. So I can't say that L'Jarius Sneed has a history of being a bad apple. I will say he's got a history of having bad knees. Bad apple, I can't. There's no proof there. Kaharski writes, "The pattern of behavior is the question. Was the quote-unquote stuff I'd heard about this one incident? Or was there more that the Titans saw and heard about, perhaps not to this level, but that gave them a bad feeling about Sneed? After getting just 5 mediocre games from Sneed last year and giving up their third-round pick for him, the Titans need Sneed to be a healthy, productive, and good player for them at cornerback this season. Surely the NFL is looking into the arrest and the suit. A spokesperson would seem unlikely, a suspension would seem unlikely given what we know currently. Now, I'm trying to figure out, where's Paul getting this that a suspension is unlikely? Where's Paul coming up with that from? Like, I mean, I will tell you, when Levi McCatherine was on the program, he's like, I tried to reach out with the Titans, high-level executives. I thought to myself, and if I were the Titans, I would not get involved in this at all. And not only would I not get involved in this, but I would hope that the commissioner suspends him. And if you wanted to know the scientific formula with which the NFL operates when it comes towards suspending players under the personal conduct umbrella, it is this. Roger Goodell, sleeping at night in his palatial estate, wakes up and says, I think he did it. 10 games. That is how they adjudicate problems in the NFL. It is literally Goodell, head on the pillow. Alarm goes off, wakes up, goes, guy for the Broncos? 4 games. You do not have to be guilty of a criminal offense for Goodell to suspend you. We learned that with Ezekiel Elliott. You didn't even have to be caught doing anything wrong for Goodell to suspend you. We learned that with Tom Brady. Everything with which you suspend somebody can be incredibly flawed. And it doesn't matter, and we know that because that went to the courts and was adjudicated properly. So, if I'm the Titans, I'm not talking to any lawyer. I'm staying the hell out of this. And not only am I staying the hell out of this, but I am hopeful that this comes back with Roger Goodell saying, yeah, he suspended a game. Yeah, he suspended 2 games. I don't care if he suspended 1 play. If you get suspended, according to the collective bargaining agreement, if you get suspended, the guaranteed money in your contract voids. So let's say L'Jarius Sneed did what they say he did, and he's guilty. Throw the book at him. He goes to jail. Throw away the key, whatever. Let's say that's the case. The Titans can release L'Jarius Sneed. And if the Titans release L'Jarius Sneed, they get all the guaranteed money left in the contract, which is $19 million in cash this year, $7.5 million in cash next year. They get all that money back. But that's not all. It's like the Price is Right Showcase Showdown. That's not all. The Titans can also recoup 3 years worth of signing bonus money. You know how we talk about the finagled cap or whatever? About how bullcrappy in the cap is? Well, part of the way that teams get low cap numbers, quote unquote, is to give somebody a big signing bonus and they give them a small salary, which is the case of what happened to L'Jarius Sneed last year. He got a big signing bonus and a small salary. So I believe he made $4 million in salary last year. L'Jarius Sneed made $20 million in a signing bonus. If the Titans were to release L'Jarius Sneed based off of this personal conduct and his guarantees were to void, the Titans could go after Sneed for about $12 million or so, based on my calculations, in signing bonus money. So that's $19 million this year, $7.5 million next year, and $12 million plus in signing bonus money. That's like close to $40 million that they could get back. If you're the Titans, you know his knee is garbage. You know you've crapped away that 3rd round pick, but you can still get your money back. So if I'm the Titans, normally this guy's like, yeah, I talk to these other teams, and he's represented Reggie Bush and Dak Prescott and the Cowboys and things like that. He's like, normally they want to sit down and have a conversation. Yeah, because they don't want this stuff to get out. I'm the Titans. I want this to get out so I can get rid of L'Jarius Sneed. And a lot of you have asked in the text line, if something happens to Sneed and he goes to jail, how will the contract and dead money be? So this is how it works. Anything that is guaranteed, if you get suspended, PED suspension, sticking your ass out at a fan and Roger Goodell decides to suspend you, your guaranteed money becomes void. If he gets suspended by the commissioner, then the guarantee's void. And again, if I'm the Titans, I'm telling Roger, hey, Roger, you got to do what you got to do. We understand. I.e., suspended. Joseph says, how is this not instantly going to be a suspension? Is Paul assuming that Sneed might not be identified? The story is about Sneed. He said, and also, how is this not a major suspension? Even though it's assault with a deadly weapon, it's just one bullet away from murder. Am I wrong? If the proof is as damning, and again, that's a big if the proof is as damning as the attorney says, like we have the video, we have the car making a sharp U-turn and unloading bullets into the car dealership. If that's the case, then surely he's getting suspended. And I'd be shocked if he didn't. And if he gets suspended for this, I think Titans get rid of him because that's their opportunity. 615-737-1025. That's our phone number, 615-737-1025. Okay, taking a quick break on the L'Jarius Sneed front. I think I might owe an apology. I'm dead serious about this. We'll do it next. Plus, let's give something away because I'm in a good mood. Be caller 5 right now at 615-737-1025, and you will win a pair of 2-day passes to the Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival at the Park in Harlansdale in Franklin, Saturday, September 27th and Sunday, September 28th. Good luck on that. Stillman and Company, 1025 The Game.
One of the great careers in the history of the sport if he does nothing else. But he's about to enter one of the most special places in the game as a winner of all 4 Grand Slam events. 3 feet, McIlroy walks up to the ball, gets over it for history. With one look, Rory back and through, and he's made it! He's done it! It's a Grand Slam roar at Augusta National. Rory McIlroy on his knees, bent down in emotion, clutching his head. He's won the Masters. He's won all the Grand Slam events. He's the 6th in the history of the game to enter golf's greatest group. A long hug with his longtime friend Harry Diamond, his caddy. A birdie at 18 for history. Goes over to Justin Rose. They shake hands and embrace.
Okay, that was Rory McIlroy. That was the Sirius XM call of the Masters on Masters Radio to Rico. I thought he, by the way, and I know, everyone watched with Jim Nance or whatever, I thought Tirico was incredible calling the Masters on the radio yesterday. That was the Masters winning, Grand Slam winning putt from Rory McIlroy in the playoff yesterday against Justin Rose. Reed, I might owe some people an apology. Because
say that a little bit louder for the people in the back.
I might owe some people an apology because while I did not watch the Masters on Thursday or Friday, and I watched very, very little on Saturday, I was at a car dealership and I was just in the waiting area. Luckily, I wasn't in the one around Jerry Sneed, but I was in the waiting area and I just was watching the Masters for a little bit. Yesterday, very, very compelling. Very compelling. The Rory choke job, and then the Rory revival, and then the Rory choke job again. When he missed that putt on 18, I knew he was going to lose. I knew it. And then for him to win, when he hit that second shot again on 18, I was like, oh my God, he's going to win. He's going to win. And so, it's crazy. I covered Rory McIlroy when he won the PGA Championship in 2014. And that was at Valhalla in Louisville, and I was on the radio in Louisville, and so I covered that tournament. And Rory was the number 1 golfer in the world, and he was the hottest thing in golf. And I remember watching him win that tournament, and I was like, this guy, he's the next Tiger Woods. And he has done almost nothing since. And because of his past choke jobs, it almost felt like, oh my God, if he loses this, he may never win another golf tournament again. He may have to retire from golf if he ends up losing. But he somehow, some way recovered. Incredible theater. Now, let me say this. As far as let me get a Masters Cup and drink from it in October, I'm not into that. But yesterday, the back 9, very, very compelling television. Very entertaining golf. And I really thought he was going to lose. And I'm not going to be one to sit there and tell you about, oh yeah, he needs to hit an 8-iron here and he needs to, put that thing right there with the top spin on the green and have it. I can't, I'm not Nick Faldo, but let me just say this. That shot Rory hit on 15, where he curved that around and put it right there in front of the pin. That was an incredible shot. That was, I saw that. And then when he botched that putt on 18, I thought to myself, if he loses this tournament after that shot on 15, it will all be for naught. But I thought the Masters was incredible theater. I thought it was good golf, and I enjoyed it. And I'm happy for Rory McIlroy. Again, I covered a tournament he won 11 years ago and thought that he would have won 11 green jackets between now and then, as hot as he was at that point in time. But I'm happy that he won the Grand Slam. Because, again, when I covered him 11 years ago, he seemed like a nice enough guy. And he seems like a nice enough guy. He's grown up in his old age, so I'm happy for Rory McIlroy. But very, very interesting theater for the Masters. And this is an unpopular opinion. No disrespect to Jim Nance. I think Tirico calls better golf than Jim Nance. That's just me. 615-737-1025, which is the phone number, 615-737-1025. So I have a bone to pick with Joe Rexrode. That should not surprise you. But what it is specifically, I have a bone to pick with him. I'm actually kind of shocked that this is the hill that he and some of the people that are very close to this Nico Iamaleava situation, this hill they're willing to die on. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. We are presented by the Southern Bank of Tennessee, and we are live today from Bridgestone Arena. Preds and the Utah Hockey Club tonight at 7 o'clock. Game 81 of 82. And then they will close it out on Wednesday. Barry Trotz will join us on Wednesday ahead of the final game, and we'll kind of do a season wrap-up discussion there with old Barry. That'll be on Wednesday. So the big story is Nico Iamaleava and the divorce that went down with Tennessee over the weekend. And everybody is pretty much on Tennessee's side that Nico needed to, worry about football and not worry about getting a raise because Nico's not that good and whatever. But there's one narrative I absolutely cannot do. And no, this is not the college system is broken, blame the system, not the players. That's not what I'm talking about. What I cannot do is don't blame Nico, blame Nico's dad. People apparently, especially those that cover the program, want to do that. They want to say, hey, this isn't about Nico. This is about Nico's dad. Here's what Joe Rexroad said this morning on Robbie and Rexroad.
Jared's all like, well, why can't we just call it like it is? Nico's a bleep head. Fine. If it makes you feel better, Jared, today at 2 to say this kid is the worst POS and this kid sucks, do it. I mean, ultimately, it's team. As I said, Team Nico. I think he's a passenger. I have no idea. The conversations between him, his dad, and his fake half agent. I don't know. I think he's a passenger, but that doesn't matter. I mean, the bottom line is he's out of there, and they screwed up. If you think it's the kid driving the bus, though, you're pretty stupid, and you don't understand. You haven't followed the situation at all. The kid's not driving the bus. No.
Dad is. Blame Nico's dad. It's Nico's dad who runs the show. And I find that to be such a pandering take. And again, I'm not even sure why Joe feels the need to pander to Nico, but that's who I think he's pandering to. Nico Iamaleava is 20 years old. He has already made over $4 million over the last 2 years and currently has a salary, or I guess recently had a salary of over $2 million for this year. If he's not a big boy and can't be responsible for his own decisions, his own actions, his own football team, and his own season, then I don't know who is responsible for their own actions. Is it L'Jarius Sneed's mom's fault that apparently he got himself into that incident in Texas? I mean, it was allegedly his mom that was trying to dissuade this guy from going to the cops. So why are we not blaming L'Jarius Sneed's mom? Blame her. Don't blame L'Jarius, Joe. Because at some point in time, you become a big boy. At some point in time, you become an adult. And when it comes to Nico Iamaleava, I don't care who was advising him. I don't care who his parents are. I don't even care about the culture that he comes from. The Polynesian culture that apparently, and I'm not an expert on it, but apparently it's do as dad says. Nico's a big boy. He's 20 years old. If he killed somebody, who do you think would get arrested for murder? Nico or Nico's dad? And would they charge Nico as an adult? And the answer is yes. Nico's a big boy. And so what Nico Iamaleava has done, he's ruined his season. In my opinion, he's ruined his career. And most importantly, it's his reputation. And I don't care about what kind of influence his dad has on him or what kind of influence his non-licensed, non-attorney advising agent has on him. I don't care about that. Because at the end of the day, Nico's the one who's in charge. And if you can't manage your own life, how in the world can you get to the line of scrimmage, recognize the Georgia Bulldog blitz, figure out what it is, be smart enough to be able to do what it'd take in order to beat that Georgia Bulldog blitz and then be able to execute it? Somebody explain that to me. Well, Nico should have understood. First of all, reading the room, which is as much a part of this as anything else, reading the room is also a skill that you need to learn by the time you're 20 years old. And I understand. I was not a finished product at 20, but I was an adult. And I was responsible for my own actions. Nico's a bad actor. Nico negotiated in bad faith. Nico's not a team leader. Nico's selfish. Nico's greedy. And while it may be the influence of his dad, it may be the influence of his advisor, it may be the influence of others, it's his career. It's his life. They are his choices. You know, it's amazing when someone gets themselves in trouble on social media and they say things like, well, what's he supposed to do? He has the right to an opinion. Turn the phone off. That's what you can do. When I was in Louisville on the radio, I was 23, 24 years old. And there was a basketball player at Louisville by the name of Wayne Blackshear. He was a 5-star recruit from Chicago, and Wayne Blackshear always played well in these meaningless games. They'd play some crap Scarbini State school, and he'd have 23 points. But every big game, Wayne Blackshear was a no-show. So on the radio, I started calling him Big Game Wayne. And so I'd always say mockingly, oh, Big Game Wayne. It got to the point to where so many people were making fun of Wayne Blackshear for not being good in big games and calling him Big Game Wayne that Rick Pitino felt the need to address it. Now, at the time, I'm not going to lie to you, I felt guilty because Wayne Blackshear was a college kid who, I don't know what they were making under the table. I obviously know between the prostitutes in the dorm and everything else, they were making something. But I don't know what they're making. But he was a college kid. I don't feel guilty about this anymore. These guys get paid, and they get paid real money. They get paid more money than you make. They get paid more money than I make. So when it comes to Nico's behavior, I am offended by the notion that Nico's not the one who's in control here. At what point are you no longer in control of your own actions? Like my son is 4 months. I don't really put a lot of blame on him. I don't get mad at him right now, even when he won't go to bed. When he's clearly upset because he's so tired, I don't get mad at my son because he's 4 months old. But when he's 40 years old, I probably will hold him to a higher standard. Why couldn't, and we never bring this up apparently when we talk about Nico's dad's a problem. Why couldn't Nico have told his dad, no, Dad, I'm not going to skip practice. No, Dad, I'm not going to leave the team. So let this be a lesson to everyone out there. And it's not just a bone I have to pick with Joe, because Joe's not the only one doing this. Adam Sparks talked about this on the morning show as well, about how Nico's dad was kind of the leader in all of it and everything. And look, you know who represents yourself? You. Period. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It doesn't matter how many people work for you. It doesn't matter this, that, or the other. What really matters when it comes to managing your life, you are the one who's in charge. Your marriage, you. Your job, you. Your finances, you. Your reputation, you. And I'm sorry, this is a very bad look for Nico. A very bad look. And he's responsible for that. And I don't feel guilty saying it. Even if it was his dad pushing the buttons and flipping the switches. Because Nico's a 20-year-old big boy who's got a multi-million-dollar salary. It's time to act like it and take responsibility. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number, 615-737-1025. So if I was a college coach, I would have zero interest And I mean 0 when it comes to Nico. I would have no interest in bringing him in. Well, I am shocked by who 24/7 Sports says with 100% certainty Nico is going to play for. We've got to talk about that next. 615-737-1025. It's Stone & Company, 1025, 106 for the game.
What are Nico's best options when the What are Nico's best options when the portal does open next week?
Well, he grew up in California, so you have to look to that direction. One interesting part of this is he can't go anywhere within the SEC. There is a new clause in the spring portal. You can't go within the SEC. Now, you can do that in the portal that ends after the season. So I would have to guess the West Coast. Obviously, there's plenty of places out there, Oregon, USC, natural places. But I wonder, Shay, how excited are schools going to be to deal with his representatives? And I say his representatives. His father's involved. He's got agents involved. This is a very nasty situation. It has left a stench across college football. So I would say buyer beware.
Okay, there you go. That was Paul Feinbaum over the weekend saying buyer beware on Nico. And let me just say, when it comes to Nico Iamaleava, I personally would not want him. Like, even if I needed a quarterback, and I would not want Nico. And I'm going to tell you why. There's really three reasons. Because while you may look at Nico and you may say, wow, was the quarterback of a college football playoff team and he's got talent and so on and so forth, there's a couple problems. Number one, this kid has had his rear end, his tushy wiped for him since he was in high school, and it's still apparently not good enough. He beat Alabama in front of 100,000 fans, and it's still not good enough. They paid him $2.5 million, and it's still not good enough. So if that's not good enough, I'm telling you, whatever school you are, you're not going to be good enough either. Number two, while he might have been the quarterback of a playoff team, this was a team that went out of their way not to use him. When Hendon Hooker was the quarterback in 2022, the Josh Heupel offense averaged 326 yards per game passing. Last year, 243. So, like, the difference of 80 yards a game. Josh Heupel didn't want to throw the ball last year. And the numbers were way worse in the SEC as far as Nico was concerned in them throwing the ball. And then problem three, Nico knows one offense, and it's a very specific system. The kind of system that the NFL teams kept passing on Hendon Hooker because of. And because this is the spring window, if you sign Nico to play in the fall, he won't have any time to learn your playbook and your personnel and build chemistry and anything else. So I wouldn't want Nico. But according to 24/7 Sports and their transfer portal crystal ball, Reed, did you see this one?
No, I have not. Please
Okay.
Entertain me.
North Carolina, 100%, according to 24/7 Sports. Now, I'm not a big recruiting guy. Do that on your own time. But when they say 100%, Reed, are they very often wrong?
Sometimes, yeah, there's complete misses. A lot of times they're right. This does not. This would not go on my guarantee sheet.
Okay. If Bill freaking Belichick goes and gets this guy, I will be absolutely floored. This is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, the guy who wouldn't let Tom Brady bring his own personal assistant around. The guy who didn't want Tom Brady to sign to him to an extent, want to go with Garoppolo over Brady. This guy who's like, no exceptions for anybody, wants to go take the guy that just quit on his team over a $2 million contract dispute. And again, it wasn't like Nico went to them at the end of the year and said, hey, I want more money. And they said, okay, we'll get you a new contract. It was Nico went to them knowing that he had them by the cojones right around the transfer portal spring window and bailed. And didn't even talk to the coach about it. And Belichick? Like, that's the guy who's going to take him? So, if Bill Belichick ends up signing Nico, I will just say, personally, my interest in North Carolina football will ascend by about a gazillion%. But, number one, I think it would be a disaster. Number two, I just can't imagine Bill Belichick doing that. I can't imagine him dealing. If Nico's dad is as much of a pain in the ass to deal with as Joe says he is, You think Bill Belichick's going to deal with that?
Can I offer maybe a little bit of what this would say, though? Is this Bill Belichick and North Carolina football saying we are open for business?
No, I think it's Bill Belichick saying I've completely lost my marbles. And we've seen some actions Bill has taken in the past, like when he made Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator. And the whole girlfriend thing is freaking weird. Like,
yeah,
again,
if I were him, I wouldn't be bringing in a younger millionaire to be around my 20-year-old girlfriend.
I don't have a problem with like a 75-year-old guy dating a 24-year-old. Like, that's not really my business. I think it's a little weird, but that's not, I don't care about that. But she's like on the field. Like, she's being CC'd on emails. She's, this is Belichick, like all business all the time at work. And now Belichick's just turned into this freaking, clown. If Belichick takes Nico, he will officially have become a clown.
Hey, women change you, man.
That is kind of, to me, the line of demarcation on Belichick is if he takes this guy to be his quarterback, he's officially a clown. And everything, we have to remember it like, hey, take grandpa's keys from him because we can't trust him to drive. Everything that we remember about the old Belichick, that's like it's a different person if Bill takes this quarterback. Because this quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, represents absolutely everything that Bill Belichick has railed against, has detested for 30 years. And it is the same stuff that led him to multiple times want to get rid of Tom Brady. And then ultimately him getting rid of Tom Brady. So if he takes this kid at quarterback, then it tells me that the old Bill is dead. And that whoever this guy is just an imposter in Belichick's flesh. I firmly believe that if he ends up taking this young quarterback. 615-737-1025 on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Dylan has been waiting patiently and is up next on the program. Dylan, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Jared? I'm not a Vols fan, so I have no skin in the game on this, but it's like people want to have it both ways. I hear Derek Mason passionately arguing on the midday show about he's a professional, it's professional sports, coaches can leave, kids can do the same thing. Now Joe's saying it's his dad who's telling him what to do. You can't have it both ways. Are you a professional or is your dad telling you what to do? You can't, and that's what bothers me about this whole thing. If you're actually for yourself, as Nico, as many people think he is, as Derek thinks he is, he should make his own decisions. Is his dad, if you're a legit professional athlete, your dad is not telling you what to do. You need to make your own decisions in sports. And I don't know what it is. Maybe one of them's right, but you cannot have it both ways. You know what I mean?
Sure. So I look at it like this when it comes to Nico and his dad. I lean on my dad a lot for decisions too. And I'm sure that I'm not the only person. And I'm sure Nico's not the only person. And I'm sure there are a lot of you out there that have lost your fathers whom you wish that you could rely on your fathers. And I feel that sympathy. But at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my decisions. And that's just the reality. When you become a big boy, you become responsible for your own decisions. I don't care about what level of influence the dad has. Again, Nico has to be responsible for Nico's decisions. It's as simple as that. Apparently, Pete Nakos, the guy that originally reported all of this, has come out and said that North Carolina is out of the mix on Nico Iamaleava. The Tar Heels are viewed as the favorite to land South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez. So, sign Gio Lopez to they're going after Gio Lopez to be the quarterback at North Carolina. So I guess take them out. Did you see Deion Sanders is out too, by the way? Somebody put out one of those like troll accounts put out that it's Oregon, Ohio State, and Colorado. And Deion quote tweeted it and said, "Not true. God bless. We good." As in, not true. God bless them. But we at Colorado, we're good. We're good. And then like when I bring this up, people are like, oh, no. They signed the quarterback from Liberty. I'm like, I guess. I mean, you guys do that on your own time. Let me know who's good and who's not. Belichick. So again, apparently Belichick is out on the Nico front. If Belichick, and I know nobody ever gets it. I have a rule. I'm very staunch in this rule. Nobody gets in trouble for something they haven't done. Again, if Belichick had taken Nico, I would have said this is the end for Belichick. Like that, this is that the old Belichick is gone. Now, D Mace texted me. D Mace has had some crazy commentary today. Texted me and said that I forgot that he signed Randy Moss, Aqib Talib, Corey Dillon, and Aaron Hernandez. He's never done it at quarterback. Again, we're talking about your quarterback being the selfish, most greedy player. Again, when it comes to issues with Aaron Hernandez, the issues weren't about playing. The issues with Aaron Hernandez were he might be kind of a psycho off the field. Apparently, they knew about it. Floyd said that Urban Meyer said, yeah, he's just got to get away from Hartford. That's it. He's fine. But we're talking about a quarterback, a leader. Yeah, the greatest leader ever at quarterback. And again, I'm not going to say he's going to bring in Nico because he's not bringing in Nico. Reportedly. Nico sucks. Also, I cannot believe this idea of like, oh, no, Nico that D Mace had earlier today should be allowed to renegotiate his contract. And if this were Travis Hunter, we'd be saying they should pay him the money. I mean, if Travis Hunter signed a 4-year deal, they'd have every right to say, sorry, we signed a 4-year deal. One texter says Nico is going to end up at Tulane. Could not give a rat's ass if he ends up at Tulane. Somebody saying possibly UCLA. Apparently, if 24/7 Sports has a 100% crystal ball, that means that just one reporter is putting it out there. You guys are going to have to explain to me the crystal ball and how that all works. Again, I don't do a lot of recruiting talk on the program. Nico is the exact reason why I always say do the college recruiting stuff on your own time. Because this guy could be the greatest quarterback that ever lived, and then he plays for 1 year, kind of sucks, and now he's gone. Like, recruiting NHL prospects, if they're not taking number 3 overall or they're not going to save your franchise, do them on your own time. 615-737-1025. It wouldn't be this program without drama in Titanland. And boy, we have covered it. We have kind of the L'Jarius Sneed-ish side of the story. We have the accusers side of the story with his attorney being on our show earlier today. What do we make of all of it? We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025, 1025, 106 The Game. There is a police report that is heavily redacted. What I wonder is, can you fill in some of the blanks for us? What is kind of your side of the story about how all of this went down?
Well, Jared, thanks for having me. It's kind of a crazy story. I mean, it is literally the middle of the afternoon. My client was at a car dealership looking to buy a G-Wagon. And while he's sitting in the G-Wagon with a friend of his, this Lamborghini cuts a big U, comes screaming down the street, window rolls down about 10 feet away from the car. It's clearly Legarius Sneed, and we think his personal assistant. We actually have his name here, but I won't give it for the broadcast. And he just flat opened fire into this G-Wagon, and some of the shots hit the dealership, and a lot of them hit the car. And just by the grace of God, none of them hit my client. The thing that is shocking to me about it is I reached out to everybody I could find that was in any way connected to Legarius, and nobody would even call me back to discuss it. So I've got the police report where Legarius got arrested, and obviously the name's on it, and I've got information from my client. No one from the Titans or Legarius agent or Legarius has ever bothered to call me back.
There you go. That was Levi McCatherine, who is the attorney representing the alleged victim in the alleged Legarius Sneed car lot shooting outside of Houston, Texas on Friday, December 6th. The Titans played Jacksonville on December 8th. I guess Legarius Sneed was in Texas and not in Tennessee because he was on IR, which is probably another thing that the Titans don't necessarily like. But again, that's his business one way or another. And it's something that Brian Callahan's going to get asked about. But kind of the big takeaways from the discussion. And we do have, I haven't talked to anybody inside of Legarius Sneed's camp. Now, TD was on the midday show. Read if you could. TD was on the midday show earlier today, and they asked TD kind of what he thought, what he's heard as far as the Legarius Sneed alleged incident is concerned. Here is what TD said. Here is what TD said earlier today on the midday show.
From what I understand, this is something that has been ongoing for a few months now. It's kind of a money grab attempt, and it's something that did happen. The details that were in a lot of the articles are a little bit different from, the details I got that have happened. Some of it is from Sneed's camp, and it's just one of those situations where it was completely avoidable, but it was a situation that was kind of out of a little bit of defense, like not being sure about a situation. That's pretty much the best way I could put that. And it's unfortunate, you want to see the young man distance himself from these kinds of things. But, unfortunately, these things come about. But from what I understand, it is primarily a money grab.
First of all, whenever somebody is getting sued in criminal court, it is a money grab. There's a negative connotation that comes with money grab, but it is about the money. Like when Ron Goldman's dad sued O.J. Simpson, yes, a lot of that was about getting a guilty verdict so that they could say, yeah, I know that you got an innocent verdict in your criminal trial, but guilty. But oftentimes civil cases are about the money. This is clearly the civil case about the money. That doesn't mean he didn't do it. So I want to make that point clear. The second thing is, if what the attorney said, that Legarius Sneed and his assistant were driving by, did a U-turn and just fired into the car lot, and that, again, he told us that his client had no prior interaction or business dealing with Legarius Sneed outside of being mean-mugged at a gas station, which we'll see what comes of that. But if there was nothing there except that, and he fired into this car, that's concerning. Albert Breer wrote at Sports Illustrated today, quote, how the Tennessee Titans handle Legarius Sneed as he faces charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon over a December shooting at a Texas car dealership will be interesting, Breer writes. Since new general manager Mike Morganzi was actually part of trading him away from the Kansas City Chiefs a year ago. Kansas City, for the record, Breer writes, really liked him, but was nervous about his bulky knee. Apparently, everybody was nervous about L'Jarius Sneed's knees, except for the Titans, who took him. Then I got lectured for an entire year about his knees from everyone. You don't understand, Jared. Let Rand cook. You're a hater. Breer writes, I bet they'd bring him back if the Titans end up cutting him. So here's kind of the steps that would lead us to that, because it's easy to say, oh, well, they'll cut him, or, well, they'll. So this is how this works. I believe L'Jarius Sneed, and again, there is a pending criminal investigation that is going on right now, too. So I guess in theory, L'Jarius Sneed could get sued for millions of dollars by this guy, have to pay him millions of dollars, and go to jail. But from my understanding, the way this is going to work, L'Jarius Sneed will probably get put on the commissioner's exempt list, which is what Roger Goodell has the discretion to put people facing legal issues where the outcomes are unresolved. You put them on the commissioner's exempt list and they go away. Period. Then they can get reinstated from the commissioner's exempt list, and then they go back onto the 53-man or the 90-man roster. So that's going to be the first step. The second step is, at some point in time, Roger Goodell will decide to do something. And there is no formula as to when will Roger decide to act. It may be before the criminal proceedings are done. It may be after. It may be before the civil proceedings are done. It may be after. It may be in the middle of the civil proceedings. Nobody knows. Roger Goodell has the ultimate authority to do whatever he wants. If Roger Goodell suspends L'Jarius Sneed for one game, 10 games, 3 years, indefinitely, whatever. If Roger Goodell suspends at his discretion, and he has the ultimate unjust authority, then the Titans can void the guarantees in Sneed's contract. That would include $19 million in cash this year, plus $7.5 million next year. So they can void that, and they can release it. So they'd be off the hook for the $19 million in cash this year, plus the rest of the contract, including the $7.5 guaranteed for injury next year. The other thing is, the Titans gave Sneed a $20 million signing bonus last season. They could, in theory, go after 75%, since it's a 4-year contract, 75% of the signing bonus money. Because the signing bonus is to be paid over the entire is to represent the entire contract. The only thing the Titans can't get a hold of is 1 year of signing bonus money plus the $4 million, I think it's 4.3 technically, the $4.3 million in cash that they gave L'Jarius Sneed as a salary last year. So it's not as simple as they're going to cut him and he's going to go to the Chiefs, though it may look that way. The question is, can the Titans gather the guaranteed money? And then what can the Titans do with the guaranteed money once they decided that they're going to move on? And I think that the Titans are going to eventually cut L'Jarius Sneed. Not because of that, but because this is their way out of the terrible contract they gave him with the terrible knees that he has. And it will cost them the $4 million last year and the 3rd round draft choice. And this is part of the reason why Rand Carthon got fired. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Jared is up next on the program. Jared, thank you for holding. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead.
Hey, anytime. But I'm gonna have to take the other side of the stance on holding or on the Titans. I know you said you're not gonna hold it against them for not anything, but I think throughout this whole thing, like there's a lot of question marks because like why is a player that you're paying in Dallas, Texas on game week, and I get he's hurt, but there has to be some kind of parameters put in place as a team to set the standard. Also, too. To me, it makes them look even more incompetent that they haven't said anything publicly as far as what I've seen. And I know not everything is set in stone, but with the court of public opinion, I feel like the Titans, if they wanted to leverage this as a way out or as a way to communicate that this is not okay, then they could use the court of public opinion, get out in front of this a little bit instead of
I'm just scrolling through Facebook and Twitter, and I see this happening. And so just as a fan of me, all right, like you would think they got to start putting out some of these fires. This is just another fire that the Titans have brought upon themselves. And if they want me to, again, the fans to believe in anything they're doing, this new regime, I get it. It's a new, but at the same time, Brinker, it makes sense that Brinker and Bergonzi, if they got wind of this in December, that Brinker wouldn't say anything up until this point. And now you brought in Borgonzi, who both of these are brokering. We got both of these guys in cahoots. They had to know something. You can't tell me, because again, according to the report where he has a history of this behavior, if that's true, and then we brought in Borgonzi and we brought in
whoa. First of all, we asked the attorney about that comment about the proof of bad behavior. Thank you for the call, Jared. We asked Brinker. We asked the guy about the behavior, and he did not have a real answer to that. So I cannot say that L'Jarius Sneed has a history of bad behavior because there's no proof of that. Now, as far as the Chad Brinker thing with the Brinker and Borgonzi and forget about Borgonzi. He had nothing to do with the Titans' decision to acquire L'Jarius Sneed. He was part of the trade, part of the process for Kansas City to trade him. He wasn't calling the shots for the Titans when he was an assistant general manager in Kansas City. So forget about that. I do think the Brinker stuff, at some point, somebody's going to have to ask Chad Brinker, and he's going to have to give an honest answer of, what the hell did you do the last 2 years when you were assistant general manager? As Brinker said, he had responsibility, but not authority. Well, so were you like, hey, sign L'Jarius Sneed in these terrible knees? Or was every move Rand Carthon making, were you like, no, don't do that? The same way I was saying on the radio, like, no, don't do that. Do not do that. That I do kind of wonder. But the Titans are doing the right thing. And you guys know, if you listen to this program enough, you know that if they weren't doing the right thing, I wouldn't be afraid to call it out. Have I not earned that? They're doing the right thing. They're saying nothing. They're letting the process play out. And then once L'Jarius Sneed gets suspended, they'll void the guarantees and they'll release him. And that's what I would do if I was them too. They're not engaging with a situation that as of right now doesn't really have anything to do with them. And I think they're hopeful that the commissioner will suspend Sneed. Now, I wonder if the Titans will go to the commissioner and say, it'd be nice if we were able to void the guarantees in this contract because, his knees are awful. And it's like PK said when he went to the combine, he heard that the Titans were very disappointed with stuff surrounding L'Jarius Sneed. And I look forward, by the way, to PK talking about the fact that he's heard that the Titans are very upset about stuff with L'Jarius Sneed, but the Titans are not, that he decided not to report that until all this came out. And at the same time, PK, according to his story, he doesn't think Sneed's going to get suspended, which I'm shocked by. I think Sneed will absolutely get suspended, and I think the Titans will then void the guarantees and get rid of him, unless he's playing well on the team at the time, and I don't think that's very likely. 615-737-1025, Stillman & Company, 1025, 106.3 The Game.
It's hockey night in Smashville.
Walk over to Yossi. His one-timer, he scores!
Bringing you the keys to victory and the latest storylines surrounding the Nashville Predators. This is Predators Game Day, now on Stillman and Company.
Predators Game Day is presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, online at tjandersonhomes.com. That's my realtor. Get your house seen, heard, and sold with TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Game 81 of 82. I'm not going to lie to you. It's depressing that the hockey season is essentially over. Although the winning and losing of the season has been over for a while. The Predators are 29, 43, and 8. Good for 66 points. Utah 37, 30, and 13. The Predators tonight, 7 o'clock right here at Bridgestone Arena. Max will have the pregame show coming up in just a little bit. So the Predators lost last time out 5-3 at Vegas. Vegas may end up winning the Cup. But again, they're actually playing well. And I'll have a much larger take about this at some point this week. Barry Trotz will be on the program at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. We'll be inside the BetMGM Sports Lounge here at Bridgestone Arena. But I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe I'll hear something that'll tell me something different. I think the Predators are going to retain Andrew Burnett. This is not sourced information, and if I hear something that is sourcey, then I will change my tune. But Barry Trotz came on the show and talked about how, hey, we want to see them play hard and we want to see commitment and we want to see this and we want to see. And it's my fault for the bad hand I gave Andrew and we want to see. And they have been doing that. And there are 2 games left. They're locked in as far as the number 3 pick odds are concerned for the draft lottery. We'll have to pray on those ping pong balls. But it does feel just, again, no sourced information, just sense here. It feels like Andrew Burnett's coming back as coach. Could be wrong. And again, I'll be at the game tonight, so maybe I'll do a little bit more digging, but 2 more games to go, and then we'll see. Barry Trotz joins us 5 o'clock on Wednesday. That's it for us, Stillman and Company. Max has the pregame show. And again, 2 more to go, Preds and Utah tonight, 7 o'clock, with the voice of the Predators, Pete Weber, Stillman and Company. We'll see everybody tomorrow.